Chapter 183. The winter in Jade Capital dragged on until the beginning of March. The grass on the treetops outside the medical center was covered in a soft yellow and green color. Gufeng, who had just finished celebrating the new year in his hometown, came looking for them with bags of local specialties. That silly boy carried a big bag of smoked meat and wandered around the medical center for a long time, but he still didn't recognize Yunsheng. Dr. Fan couldn't stand it anymore and gave that silly boy a flick on his forehead. Only then did he come back to his senses. "What, you're Yunsheng? How did you change your appearance?" It was said that girls grew up in front and matured early, but in just a few months, Yunsheng's appearance had completely changed. Previously, Yunsheng still had some baby fat and looked like a pink loli. But last time, after obtaining the summoning demon hand and absorbing a portion of the magic power inside, Yunsheng had undergone a huge change in both her appearance and magic power. The Yunsheng in front of him didn't look like a 7-year-old girl at all, but more like a 12-year-old girl. She was originally about the same height as Gufeng, but now, she was half a head taller than Gufeng. The baby fat had also completely disappeared. She was originally delicate and pretty, and now that she had transformed, her features were romantic and her skin was as white as jade, making people reluctant to look away. Hearing that Yunsheng's transformation was due to her advancement, Gufeng was even more envious. He stared at Yunsheng's magic scepter and muttered, "How did you guys break through in just 2 to 3 months? Abandoned has also become an archmagus, and you're also an archmagus. You've even embedded your soul stone." Gufeng's young self-esteem was severely damaged. In the 13 magic medicine group, Gufeng was at the bottom again. Hearing him say that, Yunsheng then knew that Abandoned had also broken through. Before Gufeng came to find Yunsheng, he even brought some local specialties for Qi. He and Qi agreed that in the afternoon, the three of them would report to Wu Profound Limitless Hall. Yunsheng had a 5-elemental magic spirit, so it was normal for her cultivation speed to be fast. However, Abandoned's cultivation speed was very strange. When he was in the Royal Magic Academy, Abandoned didn't go to the magic tower, nor did he cultivate diligently. However, his strength had been steadily increasing. Although Yunsheng and Gufeng were curious, they didn't ask much. After all, how to cultivate was everyone's own secret. Around noon, Lin Yao came looking for him. She had already gone to the Royal Magic Academy to register as a student. With Yunsheng's recommendation, she had also studied under mentor Mei Li. Yunsheng also discussed the matter of opening a medical center with Dr. Fan. Dr. Fan thought about it and proposed that Yunsheng combine the small Huichun Medical Hall and Xiantong for a while. Anyway, both were medical centers. Yunsheng thought about it and felt that it was feasible, so she handed the matter over to Dr. Fan. In the afternoon, Yunsheng packed up her luggage, put some medicine in the beast language ring, and rushed to Wanlong Gambling House to meet up with Qi. Qi was still the same as before. After seeing the change in Yunsheng, he was only slightly surprised, and then followed the two of them to Wu Profound Limitless Hall. Wu Profound Limitless Hall is in the north of the city. I heard that its area is even larger than the Royal Magic Academy. According to the warrior's level, all the schools are divided into 2 types, the inner and outer halls. The inner and outer halls are taught separately. When new students enter the school, they have to study in the outer hall for a while. Gufeng, as the investigator of the Magic Medicine Group 13, had carefully done his homework before reporting to Wu Profound Limitless Hall. As the best martial arts center in Zhou State, Wu Profound Limitless Hall had a long history and a strict internal hierarchy. Even the information that could be found was pitifully little. It was the first day that the 3 of them reported, so they didn't know what kind of test they would face. When Yunsheng heard this, she heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Baiming and the other 2 were obviously high-level martial artists from the inner dojo. None of the people from the 13 Magical Potions team had practiced martial arts before, so they must have been assigned to the outer dojo. The 2 sides were not even close. When they arrived at the north of the city, it was already 1:00 in the afternoon. After passing by Wu Profound Limitless Hall's sect, they reported their identities and handed over the recommendation letter from the Magic Academy. The 3 of them followed the guidance of the guards at the sect entrance and walked along a welcoming path surrounded by pine and cypress trees. Wu Profound Limitless Hall was different from the Royal Magic Academy. It occupied a wider area, and most of the houses and courtyards inside were simple and unadorned. Among them, bungalows were the most common. As they walked, there was a fork in the road at the end of the bluestone road. On the left side of the fork was a giant stone tortoise. The giant stone tortoise was the size of a millstone and weighed 500 kilograms. On its back was a golden cauldron carved with the words, "Wu profound limitless." On the golden cauldron, there was an incense stick as thick as an arm. Just as the three of them were about to approach, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. On the left side of the fork in the road was a wide field paved with green bricks. The scorching sun was high in the sky, and the bricks on the field were illuminated by the sunlight to the point that they emitted a dazzling green light. On the field, there were hundreds of warriors. Among them, there were men and women, and among them were children and youths. They were lined up horizontally, with 10 people in a row and 10 people in a row. At this moment, they were sweating profusely as they were busy training. The content of the training was to squat with sandbags tied to their feet and arms. According to their age and cultivation, the weight of the sandbags tied to each person was different. The incense on the golden cauldron had almost burned out. Every warrior's 4 limbs were tense, and sweat kept dripping from their foreheads. At this moment, it was the limit of their bodies. Some of the younger children's legs had already begun to tremble. However, no one made the slightest sound, and no one raised their eyes to look at Yun Sheng and the other two. It was as if these 3 people who had appeared out of nowhere did not exist. What a disciplined Wu profound limitless hall. Someone once said that magicians relied on talent to make a living, while warriors relied on hard work. Wu Profound Limitless Hall was the largest martial arts hall in Zhou State. For thousands of years, countless strong warriors had emerged. Other than its foundation, the main reason was that it was strict in its studies. Wu Profound Limitless Hall arranged corresponding martial arts classes according to the strength of the students. According to the different levels of the academy, they would also be given various suitable battle skills. However, before breaking through to revered martial artist, the martial arts hall students had to participate in the martial arts hall's 3 practices. The so-called 3 practices were 3 practices in the morning, afternoon, and evening. They were the morning breathing exercises, the afternoon weight-bearing horse stance, and the evening martial arts training. The morning breathing exercises were to absorb the spiritual qi of heaven and earth and convert it into do qi in the body, helping to gather qi and concentrate. The afternoon weight-bearing horse stance was to train the strength of the legs, and also to train do qi. The evening martial arts training was for actual combat and to fight against enemies. This hour was just in time for the warrior's afternoon training, which was the weight-bearing horse stance. Everyone could only rest when the incense on the golden cauldron had burned out. If anyone withdrew midway, they would have to face the punishment of double the amount of practice. Yun Sheng and the others had just arrived, so they had never seen such a situation. The 3 of them were dumbstruck when they suddenly heard a gust of wind in their ears. An arrogant young warrior wearing a pure gold hall uniform appeared. He was about 15 or 16 years old. Yun Sheng secretly sized him up and found that the do qi on the young man's body was not ordinary. Compared to Cheng Bai and Bu Jiuxiao, who she had met earlier, although he was still lacking, he was at least much stronger than the warriors of the same age that Yun Sheng had met before. The young man did not participate in the practice. He sized up the 3 of them, and when he noticed the magic scepters at their waists, a mocking look appeared in his eyes. Chapter 184. This drill ground was the place where the warriors of Wushuan Limitless Martial School's outer dojo trained daily. This young warrior was actually a warrior of the inner dojo. Yun Sheng remembered that the group of disciples brought by the deputy head instructor of Wushuan Limitless Martial School were also wearing this kind of uniform. In Wushuan Limitless Martial School, the inner dojo students wore scarlet gold robes while the outer dojo students wore white robes. This person should be a warrior of the inner dojo. In the entire Limitless Martial School, there were 50 inner dojo warriors and 500 outer dojo warriors. If one wanted to enter the inner dojo, they would have to be at least at the peak of Martial Grandmaster, close to the level of Martial Saint. In other places, a Martial Saint's level of cultivation was enough to take on the role of a warrior instructor. Therefore, Wushuan Limitless Martial School had a tradition that the inner dojos ranked 21st to 50th would take turns to supervise the daily training of the outer dojo's warriors. During the period of supervision, the inner dojo students enjoyed the same authority as the dojo's instructor. If it was light, they would be beaten and scolded. If it was heavy, they would be punished physically. Therefore, the outer dojo students were very respectful to the inner dojo's supervising senior brothers and sisters. It was no wonder why this young warrior looked so arrogant. When he looked at people, his nose was up in the air, as if he did not treat people as humans. Senior brother, we are the exchange students from the Royal Magic Academy. May I ask where we should go to complete the procedures to enter the dojo? Gufeng was shocked by Wushuan Limitless Martial School's training methods. Naturally, he was very respectful to this inner dojo senior brother. He walked forward and respectfully asked the young warrior in front of him. The young warrior that Yun Shang and the others met was Zhang Zipo, who was ranked 34th in the inner dojo of Wushuan Limitless Martial School. His talent was not bad in Wushuan Limitless Martial School, and he had recently broken through to Martial Saint. Zhang Zipo's martial arts were not bad, but his character was not good. Not to mention that he was aggressive and unreasonable. He would always make a move on some of the outer dojo female students. What he hated the most were those magicians who did not learn anything and used all kinds of fancy magic. The news of 3 exchange students from the Royal Magic Academy had already spread to the inner dojo at the end of last year. According to the Deputy Hall Master's arrangement, the 3 exchange students were supposed to enter the inner hall to cultivate. However, due to the internal affairs of the Wushuan Limitless Hall, especially the martial artists of the inner hall, they rejected the addition of 3 magicians who had weak physiques and did not even know basic martial skills. Everyone objected, and in the end, the Deputy Hall Master had no choice but to arrange for the 3 exchange students to receive basic physical training in the outer hall. They could only join the inner hall after passing the test. Gufeng and the other 2, who had returned home for the new year, did not know about this. Who is your senior brother? Get lost. Zhang Zipo didn't even lift his eyelids. He glared at Gufeng and walked straight to the warriors who were training, leaving the back of his head to Gufeng. This made Gufeng feel very awkward. Yun Shang and Qi couldn't help but frown. This person was so arrogant. My lower plate is unstable. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Zhang Zipuo walked into the middle of the drill ground. Suddenly, his legs exerted force, and a female martial artist who was already on the verge of collapse was shoved to the ground. Your waist is weak. A woman is a woman. Why are you here to practice martial arts? Your legs are shaking like something. You call this a horse stance? He walked around the drill ground again. Along the way, more than 10 martial artists who were struggling to hold on had their problems picked out by him. The late cultivation task was doubled, and most of them were female martial artists. Yun Shang noticed that even when dealing with female martial artists, Zhang Zipuo was not polite at all. His hands and feet were either touching people's waists, buttocks, or staring at the female martial artists' chests with lecherous eyes. It was obvious that he was not a good person. Those female martial artists who were in the horse stance dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. They could only endure their resentment and did not dare to move. Finally, the incense on the golden cauldron burned out. The martial artists all heaved a sigh of relief, but they did not dare to relax their posture immediately. They could only stare at Zhang Zipuo with fear and pain in their eyes. Everyone knew Zhang Zipuo's temperament. After he became the instructor of the outer court, everyone suffered a lot. As long as they were slightly dissatisfied or withdrew their posture too early, he would take the opportunity to increase the late cultivation task. Seeing that, Zhang Zipuo nodded his head proudly. All right, today's afternoon training will end here. All of you remember, those who are able to join the Martial Profound Limitless School are all experts among experts. The Martial Profound Limitless School is not a place where those lowly mages and dogs can come and go as they please. Zhang Zipuo was full of energy. As he spoke, he glanced at Gufeng and the other 2 who were awkwardly waiting at the side. You, how can this person speak like that? Even the good-tempered Gufeng could not hold it in anymore. His face turned red as he angrily clenched the magic scepter in his hand. What is it? Are you not satisfied? The The trash exchange student from the Imperial Magic Academy still wants to go through the procedures to enter the school? After Zhang Zipuo finished speaking, he burst out laughing. Those martial art practitioners from the outer martial arts hall also echoed and roared with laughter. Hundreds of people laughed loudly, causing Goofing's mind to buzz. He shyly turned around and was about to leave. Heh. A burst of crisp laughter, which was strangely clear amidst the mocking laughter. Goofing, this is your fault. I told you to find someone to ask for directions, but you found a mad dog. You must know how a dog's mouth can spit out human words. Why are you so serious with a mad dog? Zhang Zipuo's smile froze on his face. The one who spoke was the only female mage among the three mages. He flew into a rage out of humiliation and rushed to the front of Yunsheng. When he saw Yunsheng's appearance clearly, Zhang Zipuo's eyes couldn't help but stagnate as they fixed on Yunsheng's face. In the martial profound limitless school, there were more men than women. Even if there were a few women, they would all have thick waists and short legs because of their martial arts training. The young female mage in front of him had a slender figure, a face like the silver moon, and a pair of vivid black eyes. Although she wasn't very old right now, after this year, she would definitely be a stunning beauty capable of causing the downfall of a city. Zhang Zipuo's perverted heart immediately rose, and his original angry expression was replaced by a salivating smile. TSK. Everyone says that the Imperial Magic Academy has a lot of beautiful women. It really lives up to its reputation. Little beauty, what's your name? If you want to go through the procedures to enter the school, Senior Song can accompany you. While speaking, Zhang Zipuo suddenly attacked, and a perverted pig hand made a gesture of wiping Yunsheng's tender face. His skills weren't bad, and he was sure that the other party was only a mage, so she definitely wouldn't be able to dodge his perverted pig hand. Thinking of being able to touch that smooth little face, Zhang Zipuo fiercely drooled. A ruthless light flashed through Yunsheng's eyes. This person was truly shameless. Before she could even move, Abandon, who was beside her, had already waved the magic scepter in his hand like a ghost. Under the magic robe, a dense green fog pounced towards Zhang Zipuo. Zhang Zipuo was a revered martial artist after all. Just by looking at the color of the green fog, he knew that it was a magic poison fog. He hurriedly withdrew his hand, and his hand turned into a palm. With a sweep, the wind from his palm brought about a wave of dou qi and dispersed the green fog. However, he was also forced to take a few steps back by the green fog, looking very miserable. The green fog was blown away by the dou qi and landed to the side. Wherever the fog went, the vegetation immediately withered. What a powerful poison magic! Zhang Zipuo was also shocked when he saw it. Men! Zhang Zipuo waved his hand, and dozens of warriors from the outer school immediately rushed out. He pointed at Abandon. Capture this brat. Just now, he actually used a magic of unknown origin to plot against me. The moment they entered the school, they broke the rules of the Wushuan Limitless School. Magic is not allowed in the Wushuan Limitless School. Several martial artists from the outer hall rushed out and surrounded Abandon. Chapter 185. On the drill grounds, an undercurrent was surging. Seeing that Yunsheng and the rest were surrounded, the martial warriors of the outer hall had different reactions. Other than the dozens of people who were on good terms with Zhang Zizai, the majority of the people remained calm. Some of them were not used to Zhang Zizai's usual conduct, and some of them were not that repulsed by mages. However, there was one person who looked a little anxious. Upon closer inspection, that person was Yunsheng's old acquaintance, Lei Hu from the Banana Leaf Village. Ever since Yunsheng left the Banana Leaf Village, Lei Hu had succeeded in his studies in the town's martial arts dojo and was recommended to enter the Jade Capital. After passing through layers and layers of selections, he was finally allowed to join the Wu Profound Limitless School. However, because Lei Hu was born in a poor family and the battle skills he practiced were not up to standard, he could only stay in the outer hall. When Yunsheng and the other two had just arrived, Lei Hu had not recognized Yunsheng. There were many people on the drill grounds, so Yunsheng did not notice Lei Hu. But when Yunsheng was about to make a move, her posture and movements made Lei Hu recognize that she was Yunsheng. With dozens of martial warriors fighting against three mages, And with senior brother Song holding the fort, big sister would definitely be at a disadvantage. After Lei Hu came to the Jade capital, he had learned a lot. He thought for a moment, then sneaked out of the drill grounds and ran towards the inner hall of the Wu Profound Limitless School. At this moment, only by finding the instructor or the deputy head of the dojo would he be able to resolve this dispute. It was unknown if Lei Hu's luck was good or if it was a coincidence, but after running for a short distance, he saw a person walking towards him. Senior brother Chung, it's great to meet you. The person Lei Hu met was the famous senior brother of the Wu Profound Limitless School, Chung Bai. Chung Bai was also a student of the inner hall, but he was completely different from Zhang Zizai. He was an amiable person, and although his family background was not bad, he had never looked down on other martial warriors. So regardless of whether it was the inner or outer hall's martial warriors, they all supported him. It was just that senior brother Chung Bai was already a martial marquis, so he was basically not in the dojo. It was said that he had just returned from hunting a blood cloud beast a while ago. Hey, kid. I remember you're called Hu Zi, right? This is the time to practice the horse riding stance. Why are you running around? Chung Bai laughed when he saw Lei Hu's nervous face. There are a few magicians outside. They say they're magicians from the Royal Magic Academy, and senior brother Zhang ran into them. Dozens of them surrounded her. I was afraid that something would happen, so I hurried over to report it. Lei Hu wiped his forehead. The exchange students are here. Chung Bai had heard about the exchange students from the vice headmaster, but no one had shown up yet. Let's go. Take me there. On the drill ground, Yun Shang and the other two were ready for battle. Seeing that a battle was inevitable, Yun Shang quickly formed a battle plan in her mind. Among the 3 members of Group 13, Gufeng was simple and honest, and Abandon was silent. In this way, Yun Shang had unknowingly become the backbone of the group. When something important happened, she would be the one to make the decisions. Abandon, stand in front. I'll cover the back. Gufeng, you'll be sandwiched between us. Yun Shang finished speaking, and the magic scepter in her hand flashed. Kind people were often bullied. The more people there were on the other side, the more they had to control the situation. Otherwise, when they entered the dojo in the future, they would be bullied. Yun Shang's experience as a big sister in Banana Leaf Village had taught her that the more people there were on the other side, the more they could not lose in terms of momentum. Gufeng saw that Yun Shang and Abandon were both angry and was somewhat nervous. Yun Shang, Abandon, are we really going to fight? What if we anger the people in the dojo? What's there to be afraid of? With you and me here, I'll take responsibility if they're crippled. Yun Shang was full of confidence. Didn't they look down on magicians? Let them open their eyes and see what real magic was. When Gufeng heard this, he slapped his forehead. That's right. Yun Shang's medical skills were top-notch, and he also knew light magic. As long as they didn't kill this group of people, so what if they crippled a few? They weren't afraid. Only then did Gufeng feel relieved, and immediately began to chant. Gufeng was only halfway through his chant. Troublesome, Abandon said impatiently. A purple-winged flying python with wings suddenly flew out from under his magic robe. Taking a closer look, that flying python wasn't a real flying python, but a magic python condensed from magic elements. The flying python broke through the air and spread its magic wings. With a few hissing sounds, a large amount of purple fog was instantly spat out from its mouth. Magic fog. This was obviously a new poison magic that Abandon had comprehended after breaking through the cultivation of an archmage. Seeing the purple fog, the warriors of Wushuan Everlasting School were already prepared. They covered their mouths and noses, but they didn't know that it was useless to cover their mouths and noses when the purple fog was spat out by the magic python. As soon as the purple fog dispersed and touched the warrior's skin, they felt dizzy. Their hands and feet went numb, and then their limbs went soft. Apart from martial honor Zhang Zipo, some of the weaker ones were all physically exhausted. Plop, plop, plop. One after another, they all fell to the ground. For a moment, a large area of the school grounds fell. Yun Shang and Gufeng were dumbfounded. They finally understood what Abandon meant when he said troublesome. It turned out that this kid thought that fighting was troublesome, so he used poison magic to knock people down. Zhang Zipo, how dare you? Who allowed you to gather people to fight? At this time, Chengbai and Lei Hu had just arrived. The scene of the school grounds falling made Cheng-Bai's mouth twitch. He thought that he could see magic and battle skills flying all over the sky. Who knew? As soon as he saw Lei Hu behind Cheng-Bai, Zhang Zipo knew what was going on. Senior brother Cheng, I'm in charge of the outer hall's instructor today. These people came to cause trouble. I don't know what method that magician used, but he poisoned everyone. Zhang Zipo pushed all the responsibility onto Abandon. Cheng-Bai didn't say anything. He frowned and pointed at Zhang Zipo's nose and scolded, F***ck off. You still have the nerve to say that. You guys can't even take down 3 magicians. No, you can't even take down 1 magician. Wuxuan Everlasting School's face has been completely lost by you. Later, you will wear an iron sand coat and stand on the horse stance for 2 hours. When Zhang Zipo heard this, his face immediately collapsed. The iron sand vest was a special type of training clothes from the Martial Profound Everlasting Martial School. A large amount of iron sand was poured into it, and when worn, it was like carrying 50 kilograms of weight. It was a harsh method used by the Martial Profound Everlasting Martial School to punish martial artists who made mistakes. After 2 hours, his entire body felt like it was falling apart. As an inner hall warrior, it had been a long time since anyone dared to punish Zhang Zipo like this. However, the one who spoke was Cheng-Bai. In terms of strength, Cheng-Bai was a Wu Zone while Zhang Zipo was only a Wu Zun. He didn't dare to retort in front of Cheng-Bai. Understood. Zhang Zipo's face was gloomy. He glared fiercely at Abandon and retreated to the side. Cheng-Bai's gaze swept past Yunsheng, Gufeng, and Abandon. Finally, his gaze landed on Abandon. You're the magician who made a move, right? Although Zhang Zipo was in the wrong for today's matter, you used magic in Wuxuan Everlasting School and violated the rules of our school. You also poisoned dozens of people in the school. Today, I can't forgive you. Thank you Qibao, Fur Fox, Childless Cutie ZZ, and Lord Cutie for tips. The Foxman was showing off. Little Wildcat, my popularity completely beats yours. Chapter 186. As soon as Cheng-Bai finished speaking, Yunsheng and the other two's expressions changed slightly. Cheng-Bai's words clearly meant that he wanted to settle the score. The warriors who were unconscious on the ground were all temporarily unconscious. They could wake up with a splash of cold water. How could Cheng-Bai not be aware of this? However, the people of Wuxuan Limitless School were actually bullied by an exchange student. In other words, Wuxuan Limitless School was inferior to the Imperial Magic Academy. This was what Cheng-Bai wanted to pursue. Senior brother, we have no intention of harming people. Nor did we know that magic could not be used in the martial arts hall. We are here to report that it was your martial arts hall that attacked first. Yunsheng recognized Cheng-Bai. The last time Wuxuan Limitless School brought people to the Imperial Magic Academy to observe, Cheng-Bai was in the queue. He and the other warrior were both martial honorable or even martial ancestor. She was definitely not his opponent. I recognize you. You are the female magician who refined the high-grade magic medicine. I don't fight with women. I am looking for the boy in the green robe beside you. It doesn't matter who attacked first. What is important is whose territory this is. In Wuxuan Limitless School, strength is respected. If you have not completed the procedures to enter the martial arts hall, you are an outsider. It is not allowed for outsiders to fight the people of the martial arts hall. If you want to go through the procedures, you have to defeat me first. Cheng-Bai had paid attention to Qi when he was in the Imperial Magic Academy. He looked for a fight because he was curious about Qi's magic. Secondly, he really wanted to win back some face for the martial arts hall. Qi walked out without any explanation, but was stopped by Yunsheng. Women should not interfere in men's affairs, Qi said coldly. He waved the magic scepter in his hand, and the magic python immediately flapped its wings and flew over. A purple mist rushed towards Cheng-Bai. Insignificant skill. Cheng-Bai smiled confidently. He was not afraid of the purple mist that could make people unconscious in an instant. A ball of Do Qi quickly wrapped around his body like an all-pervasive armor. The purple mist was completely unable to penetrate. When a warrior cultivated Do Qi to martial ancestor, their ability to control Do Qi would greatly increase. They could instantly cover their entire body with Do Qi, making it difficult for swords and spears to penetrate. Changbai jumped up and punched the purple mist. The wind from his fist was bitingly cold, like a cannonball. The magic python was instantly torn apart by the fist wind. When the magic python was shattered, Abandon's body suddenly shook as if he had been hit by a heavy punch. His incantation was immediately interrupted. Seeing this, Gufeng immediately chanted, wanting to use the light of heaven to protect Abandon. However, Changbai was already prepared. He laughed loudly and said, "Kid, don't underestimate martial artists. Your magic is not bad, but it's too slow." Chungbai's figure floated towards Gufeng. Close combat was the most disadvantageous for mages. If they couldn't cast their spells in time, Gufeng and Abandon would be at a huge disadvantage. Changbai, don't go too far. Changbai, who already had victory in his grasp, stirred restlessly under his feet, and several earth spikes rose from the ground. On the drill ground, the only female magician among the three, Yunshang, held a magic scepter in her hand. Her lips moved slightly as she chanted a spell at lightning speed. Changbai pursed his lips. He had been careless, thinking that she only knew how to make potions. It turned out that she was quite good at magic as well. Changbai didn't dodge. He channeled his energy into his feet and stomped down hard. Those sharp earth spikes were immediately crushed into powder. "It's good that the three of you come at me together. Saves me the trouble of dealing with you one by one." Just as he spoke those harsh words, a huge fireball came crashing over. After earth magic, it was fire magic. Did it have to be so fast? Changbai reacted quickly. He jumped and immediately scurried to the side. In the firelight, he saw that the female magician's pretty face was tense as she looked at him with a smile. Looking at the magic scepter in her hand, he saw that there were 2 magic soul stones embedded in it. An archmage. He clearly remembered that the last time he was at the Royal Magic Academy, she was only a magician. How did she become an archmage in just a few months? I underestimated you. An archmagus of fire and earth. But so what if you are an archmagus? Unless you have an endless supply of magic energy, once your magic energy is exhausted. Changbai continued to dodge. His cultivation was indeed high. Under the effects of fire and earth magic, he could still barely cope. After hearing Chungbai's words, Yunshang laughed even more heartily. 2 dimples appeared on her cheeks. Seeing the 2 familiar dimples, Lei Hu, who was watching from the crowd, couldn't help but complain for Changbai. He had been with Yunshang for a while. Every time she smiled like that, it meant that Senior Chung was going to be in trouble. What Yunshang said next almost made Changbai lose his balance and fall to the ground. "Chi Gufeng, don't stand on ceremony. Come at me together. 5 bottles of quick-acting meditation water each. If it's not enough, just ask me." She handed out 5 bottles to each of them. The 3 of them moved in unison. They opened the bottle cap and drank the meditation water in one gulp. That posture, without any hesitation, was quite heroic and also quite shameless. It was as if the meditation water didn't cost money. In fact, the meditation water really didn't cost much. Yunshang's meditation water was newly refined after she'd advanced to an archmage. Its effect was much better than the one she'd given to Feng Kuo and the others. After drinking a bottle, her magic power recovered with a whoosh. The 3 of them didn't stand on ceremony. They raised their magic scepters and countless small spells whizzed over. Chungbai's face turned from red to white, then from white to purple. It was a spectacular sight. He had forgotten that this group of mages were potions. They had an endless supply of meditation water. Just as his foot landed, there was another patch of earth spikes on the ground. Changbai jumped and dodged a fireball, but another deadly cloud of poison came. The battle techniques he used on the 3 of them were all blocked by Gufeng's light balls. The magic seemed to never stop, one after another. Even though Changbai was skilled, his physical strength was limited. A moment of carelessness and slight negligence caused his clothes to be burned by a fireball. If he wasn't careful, the shoes on his feet were scraped open by the earth spikes. The worst thing was that the female mage's magic seemed to take no time at all to chant. The earth spikes were full of momentum. Changbai dodged all the way, and she followed all the way. A perfectly good drill ground was turned into a piece of rotten farmland under the unending stream of earth spikes. Those martial artists who were originally on the drill ground had no choice but to scatter to the side. Just as Changbai was hopping about, the roar of a beast came from somewhere in the dojo. After that roar, Changbai's expression changed abruptly. Enough! Stop! This young master isn't fighting anymore. Changbai shouted to stop, almost in a sorry state. The martial artists from the other dojo were all dumbfounded. Senior brother Changbai actually had such a day. Normally, when he competed with others, he would fight seriously. How could he be like these 3 potion students? They didn't play according to the rules at all, and even brought their own meditation water to cheat. Then may I ask Senior Brother Chang if we can continue to enter the dojo? Yun Sheng had a satisfied expression as she looked at the panting Changbai. We'll talk about entering the dojo later. Right now, no one has the heart to care about your business. Everyone listened to my orders and immediately rushed to the entrance. Changbai waved his hand with an anxious expression. He had clearly heard that beast roar. It was clearly the violent earth bear that he, Baiming, and Jiu Shao had brought back earlier. Everyone from Wushuan Limitless School said, yes, in unison. They didn't care about the tattered drill ground and all rushed to the dojo's entrance. Chapter 187. In just a few breaths of time, the originally lively drill ground was empty, leaving only Lei Hu behind. Huzi, why are you here? Only then did Yun Sheng discover Lei Hu. Big sis, I'll tell you about this later. I'm also a member of Wushuan Limitless School. The dojo is in big trouble. I need to go and help. After Lei Hu finished speaking, he rushed towards the direction of the beast. Let's go and take a look as well. Yun Sheng, Gufeng, and Qi also followed Lei Hu and ran towards the dojo's sect. When they arrived at the sect, a large group of people had already gathered. Most of the warriors in the outer and inner halls of Wushuan Limitless School had rushed out. Their faces were filled with anger, but no one made a move. Zhou State's crown prince, Yi Balian, brought a group of imperial guards. Not far from him, there was an earth-violent bear lying in a pool of blood. It was the blood cloud beast that Yun Sheng had seen on the street earlier. There were many wounds and traces of magic attacks on the blood cloud beast's body. It was obvious that it had been surrounded and killed. Yi Balian was someone who would haggle over every penny. That day, after he was played by Yi Baiming on the streets, he was filled with unwillingness and tried every means possible to seize this blood cloud beast. However, the deputy curator of Wushuan Limitless Hall did not agree to hand over the blood cloud beast, so he was unable to succeed. In the past few days, when he received the news that battle strength was not in the Jade Capital, he immediately deployed the elites of the Crown Prince's residence and the Imperial Guards of the palace to rush to Wushuan Limitless School's medicine hall and directly snatch the blood cloud beast away. The people of Wushuan Limitless School were naturally unwilling. When the two sides fought, the blood cloud beast was killed by the Crown Prince. Changbai, you actually dare to bring people to surround and attack this Crown Prince. Are you trying to rebel? Yi Balian had brought enough men with him today. Among the Imperial Guards, there were 3 experts at the peak of the martial saint realm. He had long inquired about it, and when battle strength went out, Bu Jiuxiao also accompanied him. Currently, only Changbai and Yi Baiming were left in Wushuan Limitless School. Yi Baiming's strength aside, Changbai alone was not a match for a few experts. Yi Balian always got what he wanted, whether it was a woman or this blood cloud beast. Imperial brother, you're wrong. Changbai didn't attack you from all sides. He was afraid that the blood cloud beast would injure you, so he attacked. Yi Baiming walked out from the crowd. He was still dressed in a dark black robe. The intense black color made him seem like a dazzling sun. With just one sentence, he attracted the attention of everyone present. Yi Baiming was born to be such a person. Even though he had been imprisoned in the cold palace for many years and had lost his power for many years, he still could not change this fact. Humph, if that's the case, then hand over the blood cloud beast. The Crown Prince, Yi Baiming, saw that Yi Baiming had become the center of attention the moment he appeared, and his heart was filled with jealousy. In the past year, Yi Baiming had killed many blood cloud beasts for the Zhou state. He had never entered the battlefield, but his achievements were already illustrious. Yi Baiming's prestige among the common people had risen, which made him, the crown prince, look even dimmer. The blood cloud beast belongs to the dojo. The head and deputy head aren't here, so we can't easily hand it over to outsiders. Yi Baiming's face was calm, but his eyes were cold. There was no room for discussion. What a joke. Everything under the heavens belongs to the king. Within the Zhou state, every blade of grass, every tree, every stone, and every sand belongs to the imperial family. They all belong to Imperial Father. Don't think that just because you killed a few beasts, you're amazing. And don't think that just because you have the support of Wushuan Limitless School, you've found a backer. This crown prince has already said that this blood cloud beast is mine, and no one can take it away. If you dare to disobey this crown prince will separate your head from your body. Yi Baiming sneered. He waved his hand, and the imperial guards behind him all took a step forward. They faced each other on the battlefield and faced Yi Baiming. When Yunsheng arrived, she saw the stalemate between the brothers. Inside and outside the sect, everyone was so nervous that they didn't dare to make a sound. This was the imperial power. There was no familial love in the imperial family. This is too much. That dog's crown prince is simply unreasonable. Gufeng muttered. He had been dissatisfied with the crown prince for a long time, and today, he felt that the crown prince was even more unreasonable. Just when everyone thought that Yi Baiming would clash with the crown prince, the corner of Yi Baiming's mouth curved slightly. His light gray eyes suddenly changed color, like the sky before a storm. Royal brother, do you know why this blood cloud beast was sent to Wushuan Limitless School? Do you really think that it's to make it convenient for me to cleanse my marrow and bones? Yi Baiming waved his hand and pointed at the hundreds of Wushuan Limitless School warriors behind him. Behind me, there are hundreds of warriors. They are all the future pillars of Zhou State. In recent years, the fate of Zhou State has declined, and the number of warriors has withered. Wushuan Limitless is the cradle of warriors in Zhou State. A blood cloud beast can strengthen the physique of hundreds of warriors. And these hundreds of warriors are the immortal cornerstones of my Zhou State. Only the blood cloud beast can strengthen my Zhou State. Only the blood cloud beast can strengthen my Zhou State. The moment these words were spoken, it was like a rock hitting water, stirring up 1,000 waves. Those warriors of Wushuan Limitless School who were originally afraid of power and did not dare to make a sound, especially those who were born poor and could not enjoy precious medicinal herbs and beast blood, only felt a surge of heat in their hearts. It turned out that senior brother Jean was not afraid of difficulties. The reason he went out to hunt blood cloud beasts during the new year was to strengthen everyone's physique. On the other hand, this damned crown prince, who usually ate extravagantly, not only did he not have enough good medicine and pills, he even brought people to snatch their blood cloud beast. When the two were compared, the crown prince seemed even more selfish. On the crown prince's side, he was also speechless. Not to mention the crown prince himself, being stared at by hundreds of vicious gazes, he was already feeling scared. The imperial guards were also muttering to themselves. Look, they were all descendants of the royal family. How could the difference be so great? The North Nether King had only captured the blood cloud beast for the sake of Zhou State. The crown prince was even more furious. If he were to snatch the blood cloud beast away from Yi Baiming, he would not care about the overall situation. For his own selfish reasons, he would take the blood cloud beast for himself. In this way, he would offend the entire Wushuan Limitless School. However, if he did not take the blood cloud beast away, he would not be able to swallow his pride. Chengbai watched from the side. He was afraid that the world would not be in chaos. He shouted, "The only way to strengthen our Zhou State is the blood cloud beast." With his shout, hundreds of martial artists from the martial arts school also shouted. In an instant, the voices of the people gathered like a tidal wave, each wave louder than the last. Crown Prince Yi Bailian was surrounded by the crowd. When he looked at the imperial guards behind him, they were also looking at him with disdain. He was angry and resentful, but he could not vent his anger. The situation had taken a turn for the worse. The crown prince was embarrassed and angry, unable to advance or retreat. Yi Baiming, on the other hand, had a calm expression. Such a dramatic scene seemed to be a coincidence, but it was completely in the hands of Yi Baiming. Yun Sheng watched from the side and sighed. She really did not know how the emperor of Zhou State became the emperor, choosing a crown prince. How could such a crown prince compare to a night fox? At this moment, she really sympathized with Crown Prince Yi Bailin. When a pig and a fox fought, the two's fighting strength was completely different. Chapter 188. Zhou State's emperor had chosen a good crown prince. He didn't care about the hundreds of people in the Wushuan Everlasting School and snatched the blood cloud beast for his own selfish reasons. Hundreds of eyes were like countless knives, glaring at Yi Bailin, making him feel as if there was a sharp edge on his back. Even the imperial guards were dissatisfied with him. Zhou State's fate was waning, and the warrior's bloodline was weak. As a magician, the crown prince naturally didn't care about the warrior's situation. At this moment, Crown Prince Yi Bailin was in a dilemma, and the one who caused this situation was that damned Baiming king. However, Yi Baiming was calm. He could clearly see the crown prince's predicament. Forget it. I don't think the crown prince is such a narrow-minded and selfish person. Yi Baiming finally spoke. His words seemed to be speaking for the crown prince, but those with a discerning eye would think that the crown prince was such a person. The crown prince's face turned red and white. Yun Sheng was secretly amused. As expected of a night fox, killing without spilling blood and cursing without using vulgarities. I heard that the crown prince is trying to become a master magician. A blood cloud beast's soul stone will definitely help the crown prince break through the bottleneck. How about this? The dojo only needs the blood cloud beast's flesh. The blood cloud beast's soul stone is useless. Since the vice dojo master isn't here today, I'll make the decision for him and give the soul stone to the crown prince. Yi Baiming condensed waves of fighting aura on his fingers. His 5 fingers flashed as he cut open the violent earth bear's thick fur with his bare hands. When he retracted his hand, there was a soul stone in his hand. The vigorous fighting aura protected Yi Baiming's hand, not staining it with a drop of blood. The soul stone was sparkling and translucent like jade. It was very clean. Shock flashed across Crown Prince Yi Bailin's face. He was even more fearful of Yi Baiming's strength. The warriors in the dojo saw that there were fewer soul stones, but just as Yi Baiming had said, soul stones were important to magicians, but to warriors, they could only be exchanged for some gold coins. They were dispensable. Royal brother, here's the soul stone. Keep it well. Yi Baiming smiled and handed the soul stone to Yi Bailin. When he removed the do chi from the soul stone, Yun Sheng clearly saw a dark haze flash past the center of the soul stone. After the crown prince received the soul stone, he gave up and left with his men. After the crown prince left, Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai also left. Before leaving, Cheng Bai called out to several martial artists. Take this violent earth bear to the medicine hall and hand it over to Elder Zhang. The violent earth bear that had its soul stone dug out was quickly carried away. Not long after Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai left, Yun Sheng walked out of the crowd and asked, Tiger, what did you mean by using beast blood to strengthen the body? Yi Baiming did not recognize her, and Yun Sheng was indescribably happy. Yes, using beast blood to make a special potion for fusion can strengthen the body. Lei Hu nodded in agreement. Yun Sheng also remembered that Lin Yao had said something similar. Yes, beast blood is also divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. I used to fuse beast blood in the town's dojo, but the effect was very ordinary. Wushuan Everlasting Hall's beast blood is different, but it's a pity that the blood cloud beast is too precious. I'm afraid that the beast blood refined this time can only be provided to the inner hall's senior brothers and sisters. As long as I can get some demon beast meat, it'll be good enough. Lei Hu was envious. In my opinion, it might be better if you don't fuse with any blood cloud beast blood, Yun Sheng said in a low voice. If she didn't see wrongly, the soul stone that Yi Baiming dug out from the blood cloud beast's body contained a very strong dark magic element. Under the effect of that magic element, the meat and blood of the violent earth bear were not simple. I'll take you guys to report. It's almost dark. Lei Hu also came back to his senses. After arriving at the inner hall, Yun Sheng saw Elder Lu. Elder Lu was a middle-aged woman. Looking at her age and appearance, She seemed to be in menopause. She was also very angry. Just like the rumors said, she hated mages. Her face was ugly and hard. Exchange students and mages. I really don't understand what the deputy curator is thinking. The three of you, each of you has a magic lock. During school, whether it's class or other times, you must wear it. Before leaving school, you can go to the Internal Affairs Hall to unlock it. Elder Lu finished speaking and was about to take action. Only then did Yun Sheng know that the magic lock was not a real handcuff, but a special kind of acupoint sealing battle technique. Its effect was similar to the modern acupoint sealing technique, cutting off the connection between the mage and the magic soul. In this way, the mage would not be able to condense magic elements and would be equivalent to a cripple. Facing the magic lock, Gufeng and Qi were somewhat unwilling. The people of Wushuan Limitless School were not very friendly to them. However, Yun Sheng was the first to walk forward. Seeing that she was very cooperative, Elder Lu's attitude became better. When they walked out of the Internal Affairs Hall, the three of them had already obtained a set of Wushuan Limitless School's white warrior robes. Yun Sheng, why did you agree to the magic lock? This is great. The three of us don't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. If we meet again, wouldn't we be bullied to death? Gufeng sighed. Ever since he had the ball of light, his confidence had increased a lot. However, after putting on the magic lock, he felt that there was not a trace of magic in his body. This feeling was as if he was running naked on the street and would be pulled over and beaten up at any time. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. But don't worry, I think it won't be long before we don't need the magic lock. Yun Sheng was full of smiles. Hey, do you have any good ideas? Gufeng asked. It's a secret. Yun Sheng had a mysterious expression. At this time, she happened to see a few warriors carrying the violent Earth Bear's corpse into Wushuan Limitless School's medicine hall. With Lei Hu leading the way, Yun Sheng and the other two quickly arrived at Wushuan Limitless School's dormitory. Wushuan Limitless School's dormitory was much better than the Imperial Magic Academy's public student dormitory. Men and women were separated, and 3 people shared a dormitory. Lei Hu brought Gu Feng and Qi to the men's dormitory, while Yun Sheng stayed with 2 other female martial artists. Holding the newly obtained warrior robe, Yun Sheng had just walked into the dormitory when she suddenly heard a gust of wind from a fist coming towards her. Although she had put on the magic soul lock, she had the foundation of the Jade Marrow technique and the Shinong Eye, so her vision and hearing were extraordinary. In front of her, a fist shadow was about to hit her face. Without hesitation, Yun Sheng twisted her slender waist and dodged the sneak attack in front of her. Mages are not welcome here. Get out immediately. Several female warriors stood at the door with their hands on their hips and stared at Yun Sheng with disdain. These were all female warriors from the outer hall. Their figures might not be as strong as those male warriors, but their do-chi was also rather pure and could be freely released. What was to come had still come. Yun Sheng sneered in her heart. She knew that these arrogant warriors would ostracize her. Whether it was in the modern world or in the boundless world, bullying was always endless. Earlier in the Magic Academy, Gufeng was a good example. Unfortunately, these female cultivators were going to kick an iron plate today. Who asked them to not know what was good for them and provoke her? Yun Sheng. Chapter 189. Yun Sheng looked at the female warriors beside her carefully. She didn't have the time to take a closer look at them on the school grounds just now. Now that she looked, she realized that Wushuan Wuji School was indeed worthy of being called the #1 martial arts school in Zhou State. On the boundless continent, due to the existence of soul stones and magical beast blood that could strengthen one's magic power and transform one's physique, there wasn't much difference between male and female mages and warriors. Even if a woman's innate strength couldn't compare to a man's, as long as she chose suitable magical beast blood and pills to transform, she could have a physique and strength that wasn't inferior to a man's. Therefore, regardless of whether it was a mage or a warrior, there was no lack of powerful female characters. Even in the Zhou State Army, there were some female generals. Therefore, as the #1 martial arts school in Zhou State, Wushuan Wuji School didn't discriminate too much in the selection of male and female warriors. They treated all warriors equally, and among the students they recruited every year, Nearly one-third of them were women. These female warriors were taught various combat skills that were suitable for women's physiques in the martial arts school, allowing them to display their greatest advantage. The group of female warriors who blocked Yunshang's dormitory door were all around 13 or 14 years old. They were tall and weren't inferior to Yunshang after she advanced. The women of the Boundless Continent matured early. In addition, they were warriors who practiced martial arts to strengthen their bodies. They all looked like adults. More than 10 people stood together, forming a human wall. Their aura was enough to scare an ordinary mage half to death. It was a pity that Yunshang was no ordinary sorcerer. Yunshang was pushed aside by the female volleyball team partly because of her identity as a mage and partly because of Changbai. Senior brother Changbai of the inner school was modest and handsome. Usually, he would ask about these female warriors' well-being. He was very popular. However, this cunning female magician in front of them had used despicable magic and potions to force senior brother Changbai into an extremely sorry state, and had even almost injured him. This undoubtedly angered the majority of Changbai's female fans. Sorcerers were known to be physically weak on the continent. In addition, everyone knew that Yunshang and the others had been locked up by Elder Liu in the Internal Affairs Hall. Even the magic scepter had become a decoration. Therefore, after the discussion, the girls became even more fearless. He had thought that with a little threat, the new magician would obediently scram. Who would have thought that this pretty female magician was not angry at all and was instead very calm? She raised her eyebrows. I advise you to move aside. I have a bad temper and even worse patience. Scram back to the Royal Magic Academy. The dojo is not a place for people like you. The girls stepped forward, wanting to chase Yunshang away. But as soon as they met Yunshang's cold eyes, they felt that they couldn't move. This magician seemed to be different from ordinary magicians. She looked a little scary. One of the female warriors seemed to be the leader of the group. She glanced at Yunshang. You can stay if you want, but you have to pass the dojo's assessment. You have to know that all of us went through untold hardships to get in. Can you do the horse-riding stance with weights for an hour? Or can you lift a stone lion that weighs a few hundred kilograms? Or can you kill a third or fourth-level magical beast with your bare hands? The female warriors at the side also chimed in. These were all tests that each of them had to face when they first passed the assessment. No matter which one of them, it was very difficult to complete. Zhou State had tens of thousands of martial arts students. Those who could successfully pass these tests were no more than 2 out of 100 people. Although they were women, they were not inferior to men in terms of heroism and courage. They would never let these useless magicians enter the incomparably sacred dojo in their eyes. A stone lion that weighs a few hundred kilograms, right? Fine. I'll compete with you to lift the stone lion. If I lose, I'll leave the dojo. If I win, this dormitory will belong to me alone. Yunshang was not scared and issued a challenge. The dojo dormitory had 3 people in a room. She had no interest in sharing a room with these immature female warriors. Compete with me, little guy. Why did you choose me? I advise you to choose another one. Do you know who I am? I'm Luo Qing, ranked 21st in the outer dojo. The female warrior laughed out loud, as if she had heard the funniest joke in the world. The female warriors at the side were all laughing nonstop. Although there was not much difference in strength between male and female martial warriors in the Wu Profound Limitless Hall, the top 10 battle skills were all masculine battle skills that only men could learn. Therefore, in the inner and outer halls, the male martial warriors were still slightly stronger than the female martial warriors. The female warrior that Yunshang pointed out was much taller than the average woman. She was about 1.7 meters tall, and her muscles were comparable to a bodybuilder's. Yunshang's first impression of her was very similar to Mu Nanyan from Huangtung. However, Mu Nanyan was a magician while Luo Qing was a warrior. Luo Qing was not boasting. She was the publicly recognized leader of the outer dojo female warriors. She was also the female warrior with the strongest do qi and the highest overall battle strength. Her strength was close to that of a revered martial artist. The outer dojo had been spreading like wildfire that she was about to break through to revered martial artist. However, for some reason, Luo Qing's strength had been stagnant for a while and had not broken through. Luo Qing was not at the school grounds during the day. When she returned to the dormitory, she heard that an exchange student had humiliated senior brother Cheng Bai in front of everyone. This person had even openly moved into the dormitory. Because Luo Qing had received guidance from Cheng Bai in her early years, she respected Cheng Bai very much. Someone actually dared to humiliate senior brother Cheng Bai. When Luo Qing heard this, she became angry. Without saying a word, she led a dozen people to block the exchange student. Her original intention was to scare off Yun Shang and make her obediently scram out of the dojo. Who would have thought that they would be wrong this time? This magician who had been enchanted with magic, even if she did not have a magic scepter and magic power, was still a vegetarian. Outer Dojo 21? Yun Shang thought to herself, I've picked a pretty good opponent. That's good as well. I'll take this opportunity to test out Egg Popping's second body fusion technique. I won't change, I'll choose you. The reason I chose you is very simple. Because you are the strongest among them. I will only compete with the strongest. Yun Shang smiled faintly. Her pair of black eyes flashed with a dangerous light. Luo Qing's laughter suddenly stopped. It was as if someone had suddenly stuffed an egg into her mouth. This female magician is too arrogant. If I don't teach her a lesson, she won't know why the flowers are so red. Good, very arrogant. My opinion of you has changed. However, we still have to compete. We will see who is the real deal on the school grounds. We can't use the outer hall's drill ground today, so we'll go to the inner hall and borrow a drill ground. Luo Qing was also a forthright person. She was very curious as to how this seemingly weak and slender female magician would be able to defeat her in strength. Chapter 190. After the Blood Cloud Beast incident during the day, the Wushuan Limitless School at night was abnormally quiet. Everything was quiet. Unlike the 500 martial artists in the outer hall who lived in a 3-person dormitory, the 50 martial artists in the inner hall each had their own room. The top 5 martial artists in the inner hall could even have their own individual courtyard. This hour, the evening training was about to begin. As a martial artist in the inner hall, the evening training was the most important. When the inner hall martial artists arrived at the inner hall's drill ground in 2s and 3s, they discovered that the usually quiet drill ground was filled with people. These people were all female martial artists from the outer hall. What's going on? What are the martial artists from the outer hall doing in the inner hall? During the day, senior brother Cheng and a few exchange students fought and destroyed the outer hall's drill ground. They didn't have time to repair it, so I'm afraid that the people from the outer hall came to borrow the drill ground. That's not right. Everyone is standing outside, but there are 2 people standing in the middle of the drill ground. It looks like they're going to fight. Whoa, it's Luo Qing, the strongest female martial artist in the outer hall. There really is a fight. Quickly call the martial brothers inside to come out and watch the show. In the Wushuan Limitless School, private fights were strictly prohibited. However, for these young and vigorous martial artists, it was obviously impossible to completely control their fights. Thus, a fight competition was born. The martial arts competition in the dojo was not limited to fighting. It could also include sparring, horse stance, and so on. During the competition, in order to uphold fairness and strictness, a senior brother of 1 level higher would be invited to preside over the competition. However, today's fight was somewhat unusual. The 2 eye-catching young girls standing on the drill ground were competing in a weightlifting competition that would make the average male martial artist speechless. In just a short moment, the news of a fight in the inner hall's drill ground spread throughout the entire dojo as if it had grown legs. At this moment, Lei Hu was bringing Gufeng and Qi to tour the dojo. When he heard that someone was competing, he enthusiastically brought the 2 of them to the drill ground. As he walked, he said with saliva flying everywhere, "Your luck is not bad." The Wushuan Limitless School's fight competition is very exciting. Last time, a senior brother directly competed on the drill ground and used a martial arts technique. It was a feast for the eyes. Although the effects of a martial arts technique could not be compared to magic, it was still not to be underestimated. Lei Hu said as he led the 2 of them to the crowded drill ground. Unfortunately, the drill ground was completely packed. Lei Hu could only ask everyone he saw, "Who are the 2 senior brothers sparring today?" What's the content of the sparring? It's two female students from the outer hall. I heard that one of them is even an exchange student. TSK, they really don't know what's good for them. Of all people, they actually dared to challenge Luo Qing. The person who had been slapped had a face full of schadenfreude. Luo Qing's name was quite famous even within the inner hall. Female exchange student. Wasn't that Big Sister? When Lei Hu heard this, he was stunned. How did Big Sister provoke Big Sister Luo Qing on her first night in the dormitory? Let's go in and take a look. Don't let anything happen. When Goofing and the others heard this, they could only try their best to squeeze into the crowd. The three of them squeezed into the crowd with great difficulty and saw Yun Shang and Luo Qing standing opposite each other on the drill ground. Between the two of them stood a middle-aged man with a yellow beard. Ah, it's Elder Miao from the discipline hall. It's over. Luo Qing must have invited Elder Miao here. This is bad. With Elder Miao here, even if Big Sister wants to deny it, it's too late. Lei Hu really wanted to slap himself. He should have thought that Big Sister might have a conflict with someone in the girls' dormitory. Luo Qing was an outstanding female student in the outer hall and had a good relationship with the elders of each hall. Although she looked like a boorish person, she was actually very meticulous. Luo Qing knew that this exchange student was invited by the deputy head curator. Now that the deputy head curator wasn't here, she would definitely be punished when the deputy head curator came back and blamed her. Therefore, she invited Elder Miao from the discipline hall to come and compete with Yun Shang in the name of a martial arts competition. She also had someone spread the news. As she expected, the news of her competition with the exchange student spread throughout the martial arts hall in a short time. Those who should come came, and those who shouldn't have come also came. As long as Yun Shang lost in front of everyone, she would have to obediently get out of the martial arts hall. At that time, the exchange students who came with Yun Shang would also lose face and automatically leave the martial arts hall. In addition, with the fair and strict Elder Miao as the referee, Yun Shang wouldn't dare to deny it. Elder Miao had a square face and looked quite fair. Seeing that more and more people were gathering around, he coughed a few times and signaled for everyone to be quiet. Silence. Tonight, student Luo Qing invited me to come and officiate the competition between her and the new student Yun Shang. The content of the competition is the stone beast. No matter who wins or loses, both sides have to admit that they lost. Otherwise, the discipline hall will not let them off easily. Chapter 191. On the training grounds of Wushuan Everlasting Martial School, there were all kinds of weightlifting utensils, which were usually used to increase the strength of martial artists' arms. In the other martial schools in the mainland, the weightlifting utensils were only stone lions. However, in Wushuan Everlasting Martial School, there were 3 types of stone beasts. They were a stone lion, 200 jin, polished from South Mountain stone, an iron bull, 500 jin, cast from 100 tempered iron, and a gold-lead elephant, 1000 jin, watered with gold-lead water. In the Great Zhou dynasty, ordinary citizens and healthy men could also lift 50 kilograms of stone tools, but in order to enter the Wu Profound Limitless Hall, regardless of gender, they had to be able to lift at least 100 kilograms of stone beasts. After a few years of training in the martial school, martial artists must be able to lift at least 200 jin of stone lions. However, if they want to enter the inner hall, they must be able to lift at least 500 jin of iron bulls. Luo Qing was an outer hall martial artist, so she naturally knew about this rule. However, Yun Shang did not know about it. It was only after Elder Miao explained that Yun Shang roughly understood. Magician, let me remind you again. You can choose other competition content. I think you don't even know how heavy 200 jin is, right? Luo Qing mocked. Yun Shang acted as if she did not hear anything. She just walked in front of the lions, bulls, and elephants. She muttered in her heart. Puffed Egg said that after it advanced, it can already fuse with me. There are a total of 2 types of combat skills that it can fuse with me. One is flight, which is the state of the winged man. The second is monstrous strength. How much monstrous strength does it have? Is it 200 jin, 500 jin, or 1000 jin? Yun Shang had never done anything rashly. Tonight, She took the initiative to challenge Luoqing. A large part of the reason was that she understood that if she wanted to gain a foothold in the outer hall under the magic lock, she must have a certain degree of deterrence. And Luoqing just happened to deliver herself to her door. There was nothing more convincing than defeating an outer martial arts practitioner who was ranked 21st in the outer martial hall. In addition, Luoqing had just proposed a challenge, so she immediately thought of the strange power of the puffed egg. Yunsheng had used the body fusion combat skill the last time she was in Mount Inaba. She had not had the chance to try a second body fusion combat skill. Tonight was the best opportunity. After a preliminary analysis, based on the fact that Luoqing was still in the outer hall, Yunsheng was certain that she could only lift a 500-pound iron bull at most. Yunsheng wasn't in a hurry to enter the body fusion state. For someone like her who had unlocked her third extraordinary tendon, 200 kilograms of weight was nothing to her. Yunsheng's unusual calmness made Luoqing unconsciously put away the idea of looking down on her. This female mage was very special. Could it be that she really had full confidence in defeating him? Luoqing was secretly surprised. The surrounding people's ridicule seemed to have no effect on Yunsheng. This person was too calm. Seeing that both sides had no objections, Elder Miao came forward. Since both sides have no objections, I will announce the rules of the competition. The competition will be divided into 3 rounds: lion, bull, and elephant. The 3 types of weightlifting equipment can be lifted in any way. After lifting, it must be held for more than a quarter of an hour. The competition will officially begin. Luoqing will start first. Even the impartial Elder Miao couldn't help but be partial to the students of the martial arts school at this time. If Luoqing succeeded, it would create a lot of psychological pressure on Yunsheng. It would make Yunsheng lose her momentum. Then let me try first. Luoqing made the first move. She walked provocatively in front of the waist-high stone lion that was half the height of a human. She didn't use her hands. Instead, she lifted her foot. Like a dragonfly skimming the water, the tip of her foot lightly kicked the stone lion's abdomen. Her breathing was not chaotic. The stone lion was suddenly kicked up by her foot. It spun in the air like a ball. When the stone lion fell, Luoqing stretched out her left hand and firmly caught the stone lion. She held the stone lion for about a quarter of an hour before she put it down. The whole process was easy and natural. It was as if the 200-pound stone lion was nothing more than a light rubber ball in Luoqing's eyes. The crowd cheered. Lifting a 200-pound stone lion was nothing, but using the strength of one's feet to lift it for a quarter of an hour with one's left hand wasn't something that everyone could do. Luoqing's first round was a resounding victory. As a result, an invisible pressure pressed down on Yunsheng. Yunsheng smiled slightly and walked in front of the stone lion unhurriedly. Yunsheng walked in front of the stone lion and made a standard lifting action. Several of the strange tendons in her body were activated. A surge of strength rushed into Yunsheng's hands. The 200-pound stone lion was lifted high above Yunsheng's head. Everyone was stunned. It stopped above Yunsheng's head for a quarter of an hour before it was put down. She did it. Wow, she really is a magician. Her strength isn't small. Waves of discussion were incessant. Even some of the warriors who were booing couldn't help but be curious. After all, in their eyes, magicians were synonymous with sick men. They didn't expect that the female magician in front of them was also a freak of strength. Luoqing's face was still calm, as if it didn't matter if Yunsheng lifted it or not. The second round, the 500-pound iron bull. Student Yunsheng will lift it first. Elder Miao was surprised, but he still announced that the competition would continue. He was also very puzzled. Could it be that the Imperial Magic Academy had changed its nature and let the magicians strengthen their bodies? Yunsheng swung her slightly numb arm, feeling a little bitter. The weight of the iron bull had increased by 2 pounds all of a sudden. 5 times. If she had the chance to go back to the modern world, she could directly change her profession and become a weightlifting champion. Calmly walking in front of the 500-pound iron bull, Yunsheng was stunned for a moment. To combine or not to combine? 500 pounds should be Luoqing's limit. But where is my limit? After opening her third extraordinary tendon, Yun Sheng also felt a vigorous vitality surging in her limbs. After thinking for a moment, Yun Sheng finally decided to continue to rely on her own strength to lift the 500-pound iron bowl. Yun Sheng's hands tightly hugged the iron bowl. The iron bowl was refined from 100-years-old iron. Its size was similar to a stone lion, but its body was very smooth, making it very difficult to lift. 5 times. It was really heavy. Yun Sheng lifted it with both arms. The iron bowl shook with difficulty, but its arms couldn't be lifted anymore. Behind her, countless eyes were fixed on Yun Sheng. If this female magician was able to lift it again, it would really be against the heavens. Yun Sheng took a deep breath. The Shin-Nong jade bracelet in her hand flashed with a sparkling light. Almost at the same time, the 3 extraordinary tendons in her body exerted force together, and the jade marrow technique in her body was frantically operating. Following a delicate shout, Yun Sheng steadily raised the 500-kilogram iron bowl above her head amidst a series of gasps. Chapter 192. If it weren't for the presence of Elder Miao from the discipline hall, all the cultivators present would have suspected that the iron bowl had been swapped with a fake. Was that really an iron bowl? Was it not made of cotton or paper? For most of the warriors present, the iron bowl weighing 500 kilograms was a threshold that prevented them from stepping over the threshold to become a warrior of a higher level. But tonight, this threshold was crossed by a female magician, a slender female magician who did not seem to weigh more than 100 kilograms. Sensing the astonishment of the surrounding students, Elder Miao, who was the referee, coughed awkwardly. Luo Qing. Student Yun Sheng has successfully lifted the iron bowl weighing 500 kilograms. Would you like to proceed with the next round of lifting? No. Luo Qing's unexpected refusal made Gufeng and the others happy. They thought that the female warrior was going to give up on the competition. Who would have thought that Luo Qing would spit out a shocking sentence? I request to skip the iron bowl weighing 500 kilograms and directly try to lift the golden lead elephant weighing 1,000 kilograms. Skipping the iron bowl weighing 500 kilograms and directly trying to lift the golden lead elephant weighing 1,000 kilograms. The entire audience boiled with excitement. Even the inner hall students were dumbfounded. Luo Qing couldn't have been stimulated silly, right? A 1,000-kilogram golden lead elephant was a weight that only the inner hall students could challenge. Elder Miao was astonished at first, but then he was pleasantly surprised. He ignored the boiling students and asked, Luo Qing, are you speaking the truth? Could it be that you've broken through to martial honor? Only a martial honor could lift 1,000 kilograms golden lead elephant. For the Wushuan Everlasting School, the significance of having another young martial honor was great. Yun Sheng's expression also became serious. 1,000 kilograms. It seemed that she had underestimated Luo Qing's strength. She originally thought that 500 kilograms was Luo Qing's bottom line. Who would have thought that she had also hidden her hand and had actually reached the level of martial honor? However, what Yun Sheng didn't understand was that she had carefully observed Luo Qing with her Shin-Nong pupil and found that her strength hadn't broken through to revered martial artist yet. So, how was she able to lift this 1,000-kilogram golden lead elephant? Luo Qing doesn't dare to hide anything from you. I still haven't broken through to martial saint, but I've already comprehended a new battle skill. It's the deputy curator's Mount Tai, Luo Qing said proudly. However, at the same time, her expression was somewhat gloomy. It seemed that she had no choice but to reveal the truth. He made a breakthrough in his battle technique. Very good, very good. Once the deputy curator returns, I will immediately report to him and accept you as his disciple. After so many years, I didn't think that someone would be able to learn the deputy curator's secret technique. Elder Miao had already forgotten that he was still in the drill ground. Mount Tai was a very special battle skill. It was difficult to learn, and many people could not learn it. However, once they learned it, as long as they used the battle skill, they could double their strength. In the eyes of many people, a mere double might not even be comparable to a type of pill. But the advantage of this battle skill is that when used, there is no martial realm restriction. For a revered martial artist, this doubling of strength may be nothing, but for a martial saint, doubling of strength is terrifying. Therefore, there were still many people scrambling to learn this battle skill, but the number of people who were able to learn it was very few. Who would have thought that Luo Qing had actually quietly learned this combat skill and exposed it in tonight's battle? It's over, it's over. I didn't think Luo Qing was so powerful. Lei, whose originally joyful face immediately turned gloomy. What do you mean? She hasn't lifted it yet? Yun Sheng hasn't lost yet. Gufeng didn't know any battle skills. He just looked at the field. Originally, Yun Sheng was in a good position to win, but in a short while, the situation changed. It's the deputy curator's battle skill. This is troublesome. Why don't I see senior brother Cheng Bai? Lei Hu anxiously paced around in circles. He looked around but did not see Cheng Bai's elegant figure. Hua! A burst of thunderous cheers instantly rushed into the night sky of Wu's profound limitless school. Even the shining stars in the starry sky dimmed in comparison. Tisk, I'm so tired. Baiming, why don't we take a break? I'm not like you. I have endless battle chi. In the northern courtyard, Cheng Bai laid down on the ground, looking pitifully at Yi Baiming. The chessboard of the two people had long been covered with white pieces. Cheng Bai was completely oppressed, and at this moment his heart was itching to hear the cheers coming from the field. He was not in the mood to accept the challenge. Yi Baiming did not say much, throwing a bottle of qi-gathering powder over. Cheng Bai saw the bottle of qi-gathering powder and almost burst into tears. Medicine again. These days, using medicine to smash people was really satisfying. Today, this day, was really too torturous. The battle of qi on the chessboard of the northern courtyard was still ongoing. On the field, there was an uproar of voices. Using her combat skill, Luo Qing steadily lifted the 1,000-kilogram golden lead bowl, causing the surrounding cultivators to applaud and cheer. Yun Sheng stood to one side, her expression unclear. Taking advantage of the fact that everyone's attention was attracted by Luo Qing, she said, Bobo, immediately combine with me and enter the second combination state. 1,000-pound golden lead elephant, is there a problem? My dear master, are you talking about the little elephant? No problem, Bobo. I can lift it up with one toe. Yun Sheng and Puffed Egg had a tacit understanding. The second combination was completed without anyone noticing. After a quarter of an hour, Luo Qing was in high spirits, looking provocatively at Yun Sheng. Magician, you're stronger than I expected. How about this? As long as you apologize to Senior Cheng Bai, I can take back my bet of expelling you from the martial arts school. Piffed. So you're seeking justice for that senior brother Xiao Bai. What a pity. You're the one who's apologizing, not me. Yun Sheng brushed her hair aside as her black eyes flickered with a resplendent light like gems. Luo Qing's face darkened. The Yun Sheng in front of her didn't look any different from before, but if one looked carefully, one would find that on Yun Sheng's cheeks, there was a pink color like a puffed egg's eggshell, which made her look more delicate and beautiful. If others looked at her, they would think that she was blushing because of stage fright. It's just 1,000-pound golden lead bowl. Yun Sheng jumped up like an arrow, like a swimming dragon, and slid to Luo Qing's side. She clenched her 5 fingers and grabbed one of the elephant's legs. She took a deep breath. Her face and ears were not red. That golden lead elephant seemed to be weightless. Yun Sheng lifted it up with one hand like a goose feather. The whole drill ground was in an uproar a moment ago, but the next moment, it became silent. Time seemed to have stopped. Everyone stared at the graceful figure in the drill ground, and they even forgot to breathe. Even those who had previously laughed at Yun Sheng forgot to laugh at her. In the night wind, Yun Sheng's hair fluttered in the wind, revealing an exceptionally beautiful side profile. Her eyes were even brighter than the brightest star in the sky. The moment Yun Sheng raised the golden lead elephant above her head, her mouth blossomed into a beautiful smile that was as beautiful as a rose. At that moment, she was like a peerless expert standing at the peak of the world, and all the people around her could only crawl on the ground and watch her magnificent feat. Luo Qing was stunned, as if she had been hit head-on. Chapter 193. There wasn't the expected clamor, nor was there any commotion. The surroundings were so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard clearly. It was so quiet that even Elder Meow couldn't react in time. After witnessing Rosie's battle, everyone thought that it would be impossible for this female mage to lift 1,000 pounds of lead and gold. But she lifted it. Not only did she lift it, but she also seemed to be lifting it more easily than when she was lifting 500 gene. At this moment, everyone in Wuxuan Everlasting School felt as if thousands of grass mud horses were running through their hearts. F***CK. Could this be any more abnormal? Gu Feng and Qi were also petrified. Gu Feng thought to himself, so it turns out that Yunxing's most abnormal strength isn't her alchemy, but her strength. In the future, I definitely can't be close to her. Once her 1,000 gene claw strength comes down, I'll immediately turn into dust. Qi's expression under the green robe was unclear. He was secretly sizing up Yunsheng, inside and out, from top to bottom, but he couldn't see anything. In the inner hall, the calmest person was none other than Yunsheng. This was also her first time trying out the puffed egg's second battle skill. She was secretly happy in her heart. This time, the puffed egg is reliable. But how much strength does this guy have? How can he not feel anything when he lifts this 1,000 gene thing on his head? Do you still want to compete? Yunsheng nonchalantly raised the lead gold elephant and turned to ask the petrified Elder Meow. Only then did the latter come back to his senses and said, "Oh, why don't we compete with 2 hands, one on the left and one on the right?" Yunsheng calculated. In front of the puffed egg, 1 lead gold bull and 2 lead gold bulls were the same. When Yunsheng said this, the martial artists of Wuxuan Everlasting School had the urge to fall to the ground and become corpses. Luo Qing's expression was wonderful. Her face was red, and she couldn't say a word. 2 hands of 2,000 gene. Perhaps only the top 5 martial brothers in the inner hall could do it. I don't want to compete anymore. I'm willing to accept my loss, Luo Qing said with difficulty. Oh, you admit defeat. Then according to the agreement, you should. Yunsheng gently and skillfully threw the lead elephant to the side. Her face was filled with a malicious smile. Give up your dorm room and stop causing trouble from now on. Luo Qing closed her eyes. This time, she had really suffered a crushing defeat. Although Luo Qing also suspected that Yunsheng had used some kind of trick, neither she nor Elder Meow could tell that Yunsheng had used any kind of cheating method. She was still locked up. That's for the best. It's getting late. I'll take my leave first. Yunsheng waved her hand and winked at Gu Feng and the other 2 in the crowd. Just as she was about to walk through the crowd, the martial artists at the side all took a big step back. When Yunsheng took a step forward, the martial artists took a step back. In an instant, regardless of whether it was the martial artists in the inner or outer hall, they all pulled a large distance away from Yunsheng. If there were people who had bad intentions towards the 3 mage students from the Imperial Magic Academy before, after this competition, no one dared to stir up trouble. What a joke. They had thought that a little white rabbit had come, but in the blink of an eye, they found out that the other party was a female Tyrannosaurus, and the type that could spit fire at any time. The difference between before and after would take a long time to recover. After Yunsheng and the others left, the crowd gradually dispersed. Luo Qing stood alone on the drill ground with her head lowered. The hazy night made it impossible for people to see what she was thinking. Luo Qing, don't blame yourself. That female student is outstanding. She was invited by the vice head to help the martial arts hall. You losing to her is not considered a disgrace. Although you lost tonight, it's still honorable. Tomorrow, you will be transferred to the inner hall. Elder Meow had cleaned up the scene. Seeing that Luo Qing still hadn't left, he went forward to comfort her. Those who were able to enter the Wuxuan Everlasting Martial Arts Hall were undoubtedly all martial artists within the Zhou state. Although Luo Qing was an outer hall martial artist, this time, she had displayed an astonishing talent. She had profited from this disaster and became a disciple of the inner hall. When she heard that she was going to join the inner hall, Luo Qing, who should have been happy, didn't reveal any joy. On the contrary, there was an additional trace of worry in her eyes. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but Elder Meow didn't give her any room to speak. When Yunsheng returned to the dormitory, she found that there was no one in sight. The female martial artist who originally lived here had already consciously cleaned up the dormitory. Yunshang's new dormitory had a serene and elegant environment. There was ample space and all kinds of furnishings. The conditions were much better than when she was in the Magic Academy. Yunshang placed the puffed egg back into the Linglong Beast Pagoda. Inside the Linglong Beast Pagoda, Xiao He and the newly summoned Ant King were quietly cultivating. With this treasure, Yunshang no longer had to worry about the cultivation of her magical beasts. Just as Yunshang was about to start meditating, a knocking sound came from outside the door. When she opened the door, she saw that it was Luoqing. Don't tell me you're not willing to admit defeat and want to challenge me again? Yunshang looked at Luoqing with displeasure. Tomorrow, I will enter the inner hall to study. I was too reckless this time. I shouldn't have competed with you. Luoqing's domineering attitude from before had completely disappeared. She had only come to look for Yunshang after careful consideration. Hearing you say that, it seems like you don't want to join the inner hall. That's strange. I heard Lei Hu say that the inner hall is much better than the outer hall in terms of facilities, conditions, and environment, including the combat skills you can learn. Moreover, once you join the inner hall, you can choose to directly join the Zhou State Army in the future and directly obtain the title of a military officer above the 7th rank. Yunshang saw that Luoqing was not here to cause trouble, so she dodged and let her in. Yunshang also discovered that Luoqing's true strength was not only ranked 21st in the outer hall, but she chose to stay in the outer hall. There must be some difficulties. If I stay in the outer hall, I can't take care of the sisters here. If I leave, Luoqing hesitated. The Wushuan Everlasting Hall was not as simple as it seemed to be in the eyes of outsiders. Before Yunshang came, Luoqing had always been the big sister of the female martial artists. Usually, when the female martial artists of the outer hall encountered any problems, Luoqing would be the one to step in. But now that Luoqing had entered the inner hall, the female martial artists of the outer hall were in trouble. Yunshang was intelligent. When she thought of Zhang Zipo's careless actions towards the female martial artists on the drill ground today, she understood the general idea. You are worried that after you leave, Zhang Zipo will be even more unbridled and fearless towards the female martial artists? Such a villain, why don't you directly report to the dojo? Zhang Zipo's actions were not a secret in the dojo. Do you think that the Wushuan Everlasting Hall is as simple as you think? I have a good sister called Lianxiang. She and I joined the Wushuan Everlasting Hall together 5 years ago. The two of us have a very deep relationship. We live in the same dormitory and cultivate combat skills together. Luoqing sank into her memories, tears faintly flashing in her eyes. Luoqing did not know why she would say this in front of Yunshang for no reason. She only knew that she had kept this secret in her heart for a long time. Lianxiang was also sent back to her hometown by the martial arts school. Not long after Lianxiang returned to her hometown, she heard that she had committed suicide by jumping into a well. Since then, Luoqing had been fiercely cultivating. She was well aware that a woman's strength was inferior to a man's. She didn't have Elder Zhang's background, nor did she have the support of various spirit medicines. Her only way out was to rely on combat skills to make up for it. She chose the most difficult combat skill to cultivate in order to avenge her good friend, Lianxiang. Now you should know why I didn't leave the outer pavilion. After Luoqing finished speaking, it was as if a huge rock had been lifted from her heart. The scene of Lianxiang being sent away often appeared in her dreams. It had also become a heart demon that Luoqing could not overcome. She had secretly vowed in her heart that as long as she was in Wushuan Limitless School, she would not allow similar things to happen again. She could not sit and watch a second Lianxiang appear. So you hid your strength and stayed in the outer pavilion. Do you know that what you did was very stupid? Not only did you delay your own future, but it was also impossible to fundamentally avoid Zhang Zipo's evil deeds. As the saying goes, cut the grass by the roots and use strong medicine for a bad disease. Zhang Zipo is nothing. Elder Zhang is the real crux of the problem. After Yunshang heard Lianxiang's story, she was even more disgusted with Zhang Zipo. She came to Wushuan Limitless School with no intention of causing trouble, But who would have thought that things would come to her one by one? Luo Qing visited in the middle of the night and said so much. The meaning behind her words was very obvious. She hoped that Yun Shang could replace her and take care of the female martial artists in the outer pavilion after she entered the inner pavilion. In Luo Qing's opinion, Yun Shang was the best candidate to replace her. Yun Shang had to reluctantly agree. It seemed that wherever she went, she would not be able to get rid of the title of Big Sister. Don't worry, since I promised you, I will do it. Tomorrow morning, have all the female martial artists in the outer pavilion come to me. Yun Shang was shocked and had an idea. The Zhang father and son's power in the inner pavilion was not so easy to remove. There would be a long time in the future, but during this period, she had to think of a way to make Zhang Zipo remember. After Luo Qing left, Yun Shang simply stopped meditating. She found the prescription that Dr. Fan gave her, took out some medicinal herbs, and studied it all night. Around midnight, Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai got out of the damn battle chess game. Cheng Bai was already very tired. This kind of battle chess game was even more tiring than fighting. In terms of dou qi, Yi Baiming was like a ghost. His dou qi was unfathomable and could not be used up. Cheng Bai secretly complained. If he had known earlier, he would have followed Jiu Xiao and gone out with the deputy pavilion master. It was better than staying at Yi Baiming's place and being tortured physically and mentally. In these 2 years, Yi Baiming had killed many blood cloud beasts and accumulated many merits. Even the emperor of Zhou State, Yi Baiming, who had always treated him coldly, saw him in a new light. He even gave Yi Baiming a Baiming mansion. However, Yi Baiming was not willing to live there and had always been lodging in the Wushuan Everlasting Pavilion. Cheng Bai did not know the specific reason and did not want to think about it. As soon as the chessboard ended, they heard someone in the courtyard telling Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai about the written test that had happened on the drill ground that night without missing a single word. Cheng Bai turned around to look but did not see anyone. When Cheng Bai was young, when he went to the Cold Palace to play with Yi Baiming, he had already discovered that there seemed to be an unknown power secretly protecting Yi Baiming. He and Jiu Xiao had also guessed whether it was the people left behind by the late Empress Li. There were many rumors about Yi Baiming's mother, the Empress Li, in the palace. At that time, Cheng Bai and Bu Jiu Xiao were still young. The only thing they remembered was that Empress Li was the biggest contributor to the Emperor of Zhou State's ascension to the throne. She was a legendary woman, and it was said that she had nether guards that were comparable to the Emperor of Zhou State. Empress Li's sudden death had also caused Yi Baiming to suffer. As for Empress Li's underworld soldiers, it seemed Cheng Bai did not think too much about it. No matter what Baiming became in the future, the fact that they were good friends would never change. Those exchange students are the female sorcerer who played you in circles this morning? Yi Baiming fiddled with the chessboard. That's her. Looks like the outer dojo is going to change. That little fellow is not to be trifled with. I'm afraid that the good days of the Zhang family's father and son in the dojo are coming to an end. Cheng Bai smiled. Ever since he experienced the thrill of hunting the blood cloud beast, he was not used to returning to Wushuan Everlasting Hall. You're quite confident in that female sorcerer. Yi Baiming was already used to Cheng Bai's attitude of wanting to see the world in chaos. She's a very interesting little fellow. She's a person who surprises people every time I see her. If you're interested, I can introduce her to you another day. She's a little beauty. Cheng Bai made a perverted expression. Yi Baiming paused for a moment. A blurry figure floated in his mind. He said coldly, not interested. In this world, other than her, he would not be interested in any other woman. Chapter 195. The next morning, Luo Qing brought a group of female warriors to find Yun Shang. Yun Shang took out a large pile of scented sachets and gave one to each of them. What is this? The scented sachets looked small and exquisite, similar to the mugwort sachets worn by children during the Wuyuan festival on the Boundless Continent. But smelling it carefully, the fragrance inside was different from mugwort. Insect-repellent sachets. I saw a lot of mosquitoes on the drill ground yesterday. When everyone is training, everyone should wear one to avoid being bitten. This kind of sachet also has the effect of calming the nerves and clearing the mind. Wearing it is very effective for women's skin. Yun Shang said vividly. The female warriors were originally unwilling to come, but Yun Shang's performance on the drill ground last night was too shocking. What's more, in the middle of the night last night, Luo Qing told them to listen to Yun Shang when she was not in the outer dojo in the future. Now that Yun Shang said that wearing a scented sachet had the effect of repelling mosquitoes, the female warriors looked at her with disdain. How could warriors be so delicate? But looking at Yun Shang's skin, it was smooth and delicate, like a peeled egg. Although she was a female warrior, the principle of a woman dressing up for her lover was unchanging. After some discussion, each of them wore one on their body. The fragrance in the sachet smelled faint and very pleasant. The female warriors quickly got used to it. Don't worry, we'll know when we get to the drill ground later. I guarantee that Zhang Zipo will not dare to harass the female students of the dojo in the future, Yun Shang said with a smile. According to the rules of Wushuan Limitless School, since Yun Shang and the other two had joined the dojo, they had to be trained 3 times in the morning, afternoon, and evening like the other students of the dojo. After Zhang Zipo was taught a lesson by Yun Shang and the others yesterday, he still had an arrogant look when he appeared on the drill ground. But towards Yun Shang and the others, although he did not have a good tone, he did not dare to make things difficult for them. Just last night, Senior Brother Cheng Bai had announced that no inner hall students were allowed to bully the exchange students. Otherwise, he would not let them off easily. Cheng Bai's intimidation was still very effective. For Yun Shang and the others, Qi gathering in the morning was the easiest. A warrior's Qi gathering was very similar to a magician's meditation. Even if Yun Shang and the others were locked in a magic lock, it still did not hinder them from meditating. The most difficult part was the afternoon training. Under the scorching sun, Yun Shang, Gufeng, and Abandon stood under the scorching sun with a group of warriors. Zhang Zipuo was patrolling the drill ground as usual. 50 gene of iron sand for men and 30 gene of iron sand for women. 1 hour. But when Zhang Zimo walked in front of Qi, he could not help frowning. On the drill ground, everyone was wearing warrior robes. Only this green-robed exchange student was still wearing a magic robe, which made Zhang Zipo very angry. You, take off your cloak immediately. Everyone will train together. No one is allowed to have special treatment. Zhang Zimo ordered. Gufeng, who was standing not far away from Abandoned, immediately broke out in cold sweat. It was almost impossible for Abandoned to take off his magic cloak. Ever since Gufeng had known Abandoned, he had never seen him take off his magic cloak. Yun Shang had even made a bet with Gufeng about this. They bet that Abandoned would take off his magic cloak when he slept. In the end, the two of them waited for Abandoned to sleep, and Abandoned simply fell asleep with his magic cloak on. Yun Shang was still unwilling to give up. She made another bet with Gu Feng on whether or not Qi would take off the magic cloak when he was bathing. Yun Shang lost this bet even more because Abandoned did not even need to take a bath. He could just use a cleansing spell. Hence, although Yun Shang was very curious about Abandoned's appearance under the cloak for almost 2 years, she had never had the chance to see Abandoned's true appearance. As expected, Abandoned did not have any reaction to Zhang Zimo's reprimand. Brat, did you hear what I said? If you don't take off your magic cloak, your afternoon training today will be doubled. For the past 2 days, Zhang Zimo had kicked an iron plate with these exchange students one after another. He was already so angry that his teeth were itching. Doubled training meant 50 kilograms of iron sand. Carrying 50 kilograms of iron sand on a warrior's back and standing in the sun for an hour was already unbearable, not to mention using it on a mage. He thought that such a threat would be enough to make Abandoned give in. But Abandoned did not have any reaction at all. Zhang Zimo was so angry that he immediately ordered someone to bring him a sandbag stuffed with 50 kilograms of iron sand. Abandoned did not say much. He tied the sandbag to his hands and feet and silently got into the horse-riding stance. All right, I'll see how long you can be tough. Zhang Zimo's face turned green. He glared fiercely at his surroundings. The warriors in the outer hall hurriedly retreated to the side and tied the sandbag to themselves. Yun Shang was also given 2 sandbags. This type of sandbag was a type of sandbag leggings specially made by Wushuan Everlasting Hall. It was shaped like a piece of tofu and filled with black iron sand the size of a grain of rice. It was 5 to 6 times heavier than an ordinary sandbag. Not only that, some charcoal powder was also added to the iron sandbag. After tying it to the four limbs and standing under the scorching sun, the iron sand and charcoal powder absorbed enough heat and sweat, causing the entire iron sandbag to become incomparably hot. Even if it was tied with clothes, it was as if a piece of iron had been branded. With such a thing tied to the limbs, the whole process could be imagined. Yunsheng glanced at Abandoned. Under his green cloak, there were 4 times more sandbags than her own. That brat did not make a sound. Goofing's situation was not bad. He originally came from the mountains. Although he was a magician, he had done a lot of work in the mountains. Hour of weight was barely enough for him to support himself. When the incense on the golden cauldron burned, the horse-riding stance at noon began. Before starting today's training, Yunsheng had consulted Luo Qing about the techniques of the horse-riding stance. She tightened her waist and arched her legs, slowly circulating the inner energy in her body. The sun was blazing hot. At noon, hundreds of warriors from the outer hall were quickly covered in hot sweat. Half an hour had passed. Yunsheng felt her hands and feet begin to go numb. A pain similar to ants drilling into her body from the soles of her feet. Her forehead was covered in sweat, and her clothes were soaked. The iron sandbags tied to her hands and legs were getting hotter and hotter. The sharp iron sand seemed to want to break her skin and drink her blood. Yunsheng clenched her teeth. The pain on the tip of her tongue made her slightly sober. With a thought, the jade marrow skill flowed out from the Shinong medical bracelet on Yunsheng's hand. The jade marrow skill was as its name suggested. Yunsheng only felt an icy cold inner energy rush through her limbs and bones. The originally dizzying heat immediately dissipated a lot. It was like drinking a large can of frozen cola during the dog days of summer. What surprised Yunsheng even more was that when she activated the Jade Marrow technique, she suddenly realized that under the scorching sun, she could feel a vigorous inner strength. Chapter 196. The vigorous internal energy came suddenly. Yunsheng was surprised, but she quickly calmed down and carefully sensed the source of the internal energy. Soon, she realized that the heat didn't come from anywhere else. It came from the blazing summer sun hanging high in the sky, so dazzling that it was only a white dot. The Shinong medical bracelet was transforming the sun essence in the scorching sun into a flood of internal energy. As early as when she was in Banana Leaf Village, Yunsheng was used to absorbing sun essence under the sun to improve her jade marrow art. Unexpectedly, when she was almost exhausted from the weight-bearing training, the effect of absorbing sun essence was much better than before. She felt that the strange tendons in her body had become stronger under the nourishment of a large amount of sun essence. It was as if a dried-up stream had suddenly been hit by a heavy rain, and the water level had suddenly risen. Since the last time Yunsheng broke through to the great magician and opened up her third strange tendon, she felt that she had encountered a bottleneck in the cultivation of the jade marrow art. It was just that there was no one around her to guide her, so she had been unable to break through. Unexpectedly, there was an unexpected discovery today. Yunsheng was overjoyed and quietly used her jade marrow art. Wave after wave of strong sun essence gushed out, and Yunsheng's originally numb feet became flexible. All these changes happened quietly, and Zhang Zipuo did not notice anything strange. As usual, Zhang Zipuo kept walking in the crowd, paying special attention to the exchange student in a magic cloak. The scorching sun shone brightly, making Abandon's magic cloak even more dazzling, but it was only more dazzling. Under the double weight, Abandon did not fall unconscious after a few minutes as Zhang Zipuo expected. Like a javelin, he stood there, towering over the crowd. There was no tremor, and there was no sign of him falling down. Zhang Zipuo could not help but frown, wondering in his heart, could it be that all the exchange students the hall master found this time were so abnormal? Yesterday, the female magician even defeated Luo Qing, but this seemingly weak magician did not even make a sound when carrying 100 jin of iron sand. Zhang Zipu snorted, his face full of anger. But when he walked past a female warrior with a graceful figure, a fragrant wind blew out. Zhang Zipuo could not help but feel his heart skip a beat. It was the fragrance of a woman that he had not smelled for a long time. Zhang Zipo had also participated in the mage test in his early years, but unfortunately, he did not have any magic perception at all. He could only rely on his relationship with Elder Zhang to enter the Wu Profound Limitless School. In the Wu Profound Limitless Martial Arts School, there were more men than women, and Zhang Zipo was also a womanizer. He had even regretted it for a long time, because all the women in the martial arts school did not cultivate like women, and did not even know how to use rouge and face powder. How could they be like the Imperial Magic Academy, where those charming female mages were so alluring? A few years ago, there was Lian Xiang. Unfortunately, Lian Xiang, that bitch, actually reported him to the deputy director. Thinking of the delicate fragrance of Lian Xiang's body, Zhang Ziyan felt a burst of desire. Zhang Zipuo's face drooled as he approached a female warrior who was practicing the horse-riding stance. The latter trembled slightly, and a trace of fear appeared on her face. Zhang Zipuo pinched her waist. When the female warriors at the side saw this, they all showed angry expressions. Zhang Zipuo, however, chuckled a few times. He enjoyed the smoothness between his hands and walked towards another female warrior. Hour passed, and when the incense on the golden cauldron was extinguished, most of the warriors on the drill ground heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone was discussing spiritedly as they untied the iron sandbags on their hands and feet. The female warrior who had been molested by Zhang Zipuo earlier threw the iron sandbag on the ground with red eyes and ran away to vent her anger. Yun Sheng also slowly withdrew the power of the jade marrow technique in her body. After an hour, not only did she not feel tired, but she also felt refreshed. The effect was even better than 4 hours of deep meditation at night. She looked around and found that the people on the drill ground were almost gone. Gufeng was so tired that he collapsed on the drill ground. As soon as he sat down, the kid jumped up. At noon, the ground was boiling hot like a hot pot of noodles. Gufeng, go over and see what's wrong with Qi. Yun Sheng noticed that Qi was still standing in the same spot, maintaining the horse-riding stance. To abandon, carrying weights for 2 hours was definitely an overload. Gufeng walked over, and as soon as he got close, Qi's body went limp, and his whole body fell onto Gufeng's body. Oh no, Yun Sheng, Qi is dead. Gufeng was shocked. He wiped his hand under Qi's nose, and found that there was no breath under Qi's nose. Yun Sheng hurried over. Don't panic. First untie the iron sandbags on his body, then move him to a shady place. He must have faked his death due to heat stroke. Look, his chest is still rising and falling. After being reminded by Yun Sheng, Gufeng realized that Qi's magic cloak was still rising and falling slightly. When Gufeng hurriedly untied the iron sandbags on Qi's body, Yun Sheng couldn't help but frown. She had a good sense of touch, and she was sure that the iron sandbags that Zhang Zipuo ordered people to prepare for Qi were all tampered with. The so-called 100-caddy iron sandbag was at least 120 caddies in weight. Hideous blisters had already appeared on the 4 limbs of Lu Zilong. Yun Sheng directed Gufeng to move Qi to the side. However, on the question of whether to untie Qi's magic cloak, Yun Sheng and Gufeng were a little hesitant. Yun Sheng, Qi will definitely not agree to let us untie his magic cloak. Even Teacher Mary can't order Qi to do so. If he wakes up and finds out that we've untied his cloak, he'll hate us to death. Gufeng was a little reluctant. It wasn't easy for him to build a good relationship with Qi, and he didn't want to anger Qi again. If you don't understand, I'll untie it. He's about to die, and you're still so clumsy. Yun Sheng didn't say anything else, and untied Qi's magic cloak. As soon as the cloak was untied, Yun Sheng couldn't help but pause, and Gufeng even let out a shocking cry. Qi's face? What kind of face was that? Qi's face was like a toad's, covered with all kinds of green bumps. Hour after he stood under the sun, these bumps had already cracked because of the heat. Yellow-green pus covered Qi's face. That scene would make anyone who saw it frown. No wonder Qi refused to untie his magic cloak no matter what. What surprised Gufeng was that Yun Sheng only looked at Qi's face for a moment. Then, she bent over and took out a bag of water and gauze from the orc language ring. She soaked them and placed them on Qi's forehead. Then, She untied his collar and pressed on his philtrum with her fingertips. After a while, Qi's complexion gradually improved. When he woke up, he saw Gufeng and Yunsheng's concerned eyes. Then, he realized that his magic cloak had been untied. Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, Qi sat up abruptly, pushed Yunsheng and Gufeng away, and pulled off the gauze on his forehead. Who allowed you to untie my magic cloak? He angrily pulled out his magic scepter and pointed it at Yunsheng and Gufeng. Chapter 197. In a fit of rage, Abandon's eyes were bloodshot, and the wound on his face split open, leaving a pool of pus and blood. Abandon, don't be so agitated. We just saw that you fainted and wanted to wake you up. It was me. It was me who removed your magic cloak. Gufeng took all the responsibility. Gufeng, don't apologize. We didn't do anything wrong. Abandon, it was me who removed your magic cloak. You fainted just now. If we didn't save you in time, it would have been very dangerous. Compared to Abandon's agitation and Gufeng's pity, Yunsheng's tone was calm, as if Abandon's face didn't affect her at all. As Yunsheng spoke, she quickly stepped forward and grabbed Abandon's arm. Abandon had never had such intimate contact with anyone before. As if he was stained with something dirty, he shook his hand and tried to shake it off. However, Yunsheng's strength was amazing. As she grabbed Abandon's hand, she slowly sent the Jade Marrow technique into Abandon's body. Abandon's originally restless emotions were replaced by an icy cold inner force that rushed through his entire body. This inner force wasn't magic power, nor was it combat energy. It was a mysterious power that Abandon had never experienced before. The magic scepter in Abandon's hand drooped down unconsciously. He subconsciously looked at Yunsheng. A pair of pitch-black Rumo jade eyes looked at him calmly. For some reason, Abandon felt his originally agitated emotions settle down bit by bit. It was a scorching sun, but it didn't make him feel hot at all. Abandon only felt as if he was standing on a vast and boundless sea. Feeling that Abandon's heartbeat and breathing had gradually returned to normal, Yunsheng finally heaved a sigh of relief. This kid was really worrisome. Go back and rest for a while. Drink some salt and sugar water to replenish your water. You'll be fine. Yunsheng's crisp voice echoed in his ears. As she spoke, Yunsheng let go of his hand. She glanced at Yunsheng and saw her blushing face. Her skin looked even more beautiful under the scorching sun. He couldn't help but be mesmerized by her. It wasn't until Gufeng gave him a push that she came back to his senses. Thank you, Abandoned Mosquito said with a squeak. Yunsheng glanced at him. Abandoned, if I'm not wrong, your face is poisoned, right? Abandoned didn't say anything. He took the magic cloak from Gufeng and put it on without saying a word. What if I say that I have a way to cure your face, but I have to abolish all your poison skills and turn you into an ordinary person? Are you willing to do that? Yunsheng had noticed that there was an antidote for Abandon's poison. Yunsheng had carefully examined Abandon's poison. His poison seemed to be caused by the poison magic that he cultivated. Abandon's poison magic spirit allowed him to cast any type of magic with the effect of poison. However, because he carried the poison magic spirit with him all year round, he unconsciously absorbed the poison from the outside world. This was a huge burden to his body. Although the poison was only accumulating in Abandon's cultivation now, in the future, as Abandon's magic became more profound, his poison magic spirit would have a greater impact on him. There would be a day when his body couldn't bear the burden, and those poisonous lumps would spread all over his body. No, if I lose my poison magic, I'd rather wear this face for the rest of my life. Abandon was far more stubborn than Yunsheng imagined. Abandon, nothing is more important than your life. Yunsheng was still trying to persuade Abandon. You're wrong. There's something more important than my life, and that's power. Abandon dragged his injured body forward without another word. Yunsheng and Gufeng stood where they were. Gufeng sighed, as if he was talking to himself, but also as if he was talking to Yunsheng. Abandon is actually the most stubborn among the three of us. Unless you can find another way to cure him, he will never allow you to treat him. Goofing caught up with Abandon quickly and supported him. This time, Abandon didn't push Goofing away. When night fell, the warriors in the outer training hall carried out their combat training as usual. What was surprising was that the annoying Zhang Zipo was not present this time. After asking around, someone said that Zhang Zipo suddenly grew red lumps all over his body after leaving the drill ground this afternoon. Those lumps were itchy and painful. No matter what Zhang Zipo did, they wouldn't go away. Helpless, he could only take leave and rest in the inner training hall. Once the news spread, the happiest were the female warriors. Zhang Zipo was a pervert. He was simply their nightmare. When Yunshang heard this, she smiled in understanding. She was the only one who was clear about the whole matter. The poison that made Zhang Zipo in the medicine hall helpless was actually not a type of poison. She was just a type of powder that Yunshang found from Dr. Fan's prescription booklet. This powder was developed from 4 to 5 types of special attribute medicinal herbs. If a woman used it, it could indeed nourish her and beautify her face. However, if a man came into contact with it, he would easily be allergic. Moreover, this allergy would repeat and last for more than a month. If he came into contact with it again, he would still be allergic. Moreover, the consequences would be more serious each time. People in the Boundless Land didn't know about allergies, but Yunshang was very clear about it. Due to the absence of Zhang Zipo's harassment, Yunshang, Gufeng, and Abandon's training became much more relaxed in the next few days of training. The three of them also gradually adapted from their initial unfamiliarity with the training hall. Chapter 198. The medicine hall was located in the inner hall of Wushuan Wuji School. When Yunshang was on her way to the internal affairs hall, she had passed by the medicine hall. She thought that the medicine hall must be similar to the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. On the way, Lei Hu happened to mention that he had received a letter from Banana Leaf Village yesterday. He had already told the village chief and the others that Yunshang was also in Jade Capital and that she was in Wushuan Wuji School. The village chief asked about Yunshang's well-being in the letter. Yunshang asked about the village and found out that Banana Leaf Village was relying on hemostatic medicine. The villagers were living well. The village chief and Grandma Lu were also healthy. There was a new sorcerer in the Dharma temple who was very kind. Only then did Yunshang relax a little. The village chief also asked about Uncle Yun in the letter. Is Uncle Yun all right? Lei Hu didn't ask in detail why Yunshang suddenly came to Jade Capital and how she suddenly learned magic. He also didn't ask how Yunshang's father, Uncle Yun, was doing. When Yunshang was in Banana Leaf Village, she was a useless sorcerer who couldn't even sense magic elements. However, her magic just now almost made senior brother Chung suffer. That was really too powerful. My father, he is all right. Yunshang's heart was bitter. Her father's matter had always been a sore point. We're almost at the medicine hall. Tell us about the beast blood. Yunshang had heard from Wan Rensu that martial artists were different from sorcerers. Although they didn't have magic scepters and couldn't embed soul stones, they could fuse with demonic beast blood. A martial artist, from the moment they became a martial artist, would need to fuse with demonic beast blood at every realm. This process was called beast blood fusion. In the beginning, the beast blood fusion would strengthen one's physique and make it easier for the human body to absorb battle aura. However, after becoming a martial honor, the beast blood fusion could transform into a battle technique called beast blood berserk. Under the beast blood berserk state, the martial artist could strengthen their strength by several times depending on the grade of the beast blood they absorbed. Their defense and attack power would increase tremendously. However, the price of beast blood berserk was also very heavy. If a martial artist were to undergo beast blood enhancement once, their strength would be reduced by half within a month. Therefore, martial artists would only enter the beast blood frenzy state under extremely dangerous circumstances. Take Xingbai, who had fought with Yunshang and the others earlier, as an example. He was only testing the strength of Yunshang and the others, but if he encountered a real enemy, he would enter the beast blood berserk state, and his strength would increase by several folds. Yunshang and the others would not be his match. Lei Hu, tell me more about the Wushuan Limitless School. Gufeng also asked from the side. Compared to the Imperial Magic Academy, Gufeng preferred the practical and hard-working cultivation style of the Wuxuan Limitless School. Lei Hu spoke as he walked, explaining the situation of the Wu Profound Limitless School, including the matters between the inner and outer halls. This also allowed Yun Sheng and the others to have a rough impression of the entire Wu Profound Limitless School. The Wuxuan Limitless School was divided into the inner and outer halls. The inner hall had a total of 50 students, and the outer hall had a total of 500 students. However, this was not the full strength of the Wuxuan Limitless School. In the entire Zhou state, the students who had once studied martial arts in the Wuxuan Limitless School, including their direct third-generation blood relatives, were also known as the sect disciples of the martial arts school. In the entire Zhou state, just the number of sect disciples in the martial arts school alone reached 100,000. 100,000? Wow, that's comparable to the regular army of the Zhou state? Gufeng was speechless. Gufeng, you can't speak carelessly. Yun Sheng frowned. Hearing Lei Hu's words, Yun Sheng also realized that the hidden strength of the Wuxuan Limitless School was actually so strong. If she was the emperor of the Zhou state, she would definitely be wary of the Wuxuan Limitless School. No wonder the crown prince of the Zhou state entered the Royal Magic Academy to study. The royal family had invested heavily in the Royal Magic Academy in the past few years, presumably to curb the power of the Wuxuan Limitless School. Lei Hu's thoughts were simple, and he did not think too much. Now that he was a member of the Wuxuan Limitless School, he felt even more proud. Not only that, our dojo master and vice dojo master are also very strong. Even the famous martial saint General Yunba of the Zhou state is our consecrator. The dojo has the Discipline Hall, Internal Affairs Hall, Medicine Hall, and Combat Skills Hall. When Yun Sheng heard Yunba's name, she paused for a moment. Huzi, have you seen old General Yun before? Or is the general himself coming to the dojo to teach? How could that be? I'm just an outer hall martial artist. I can't even enter the inner hall. Old General Yun is only a consecrator in name. He hasn't come to the dojo for a long time. Big sister, let me tell you, in the future, you can't get into a conflict with senior apprentice brother Cheng. He held back today. His strength is ranked in the top 3 in the inner hall. Lei Hu felt a lingering fear as he recalled what had happened. Lei Hu rambled on a lot, from the glorious history of the Wuxuan Limitless School to the teaching of battle skills at the martial Grand Master level. He roughly explained everything. Yun Sheng asked around in a roundabout way, but she only found out that the number 1 in the inner hall was senior brother Yi Baiming. However, they rarely saw Yi Baiming. Chengbai was already a martial marquis. Then wouldn't Yi Baiming be even more powerful? What exactly did that brat eat to cultivate? It was as if he had his own cheat. While she was secretly guessing the relationship between Yi Baiming and the Wuxuan Limitless School, Yun Sheng and the others had already arrived at the entrance of the Medicine Hall. The Medicine Hall could be considered one of the most important places in the entire dojo. Ordinary warriors from the outer hall would not be able to enter at all. They could only come here on the day of receiving the beast blood every month. Just as they approached the Medicine Hall, they could smell the fragrance of pills. The surrounding environment was also very elegant, with a few clusters of Xiangfei bamboo planted. It was completely different from the martial arts aura of the Wuxuan Limitless School. In front of us is the Medicine Hall, and further ahead is the Internal Affairs Hall that we went to before. The person in charge of the Medicine Hall is Elder Zhang, who is also Zhang Zipo's father. You guys have a grudge with Zhang Zipo, so if you encounter anything later, don't talk back. Just follow my gaze. Lei Hu pointed to the rows of courtyards in front of them. There were already many warriors lining up, waiting for the Medicine Hall to distribute the beast blood. Yun Sheng and the others casually stood at the end of the line. Suddenly, they heard a crackling sound coming from the direction of the Medicine Hall. Following that, there was a commotion at the front of the line. Someone screamed and fell to the ground. Some people shouted, "Not good, everyone, disperse." As he spoke, a warrior jumped out. That warrior's eyes were scarlet red, and his hands were dancing nonstop. That person looked like he had jumped out of the Medicine Hall. His hair was disheveled, his upper body was bare, and his lower body was only wearing a pair of shorts. His sturdy muscles were dripping with blood. Between his waving hands, the biting cold Do Chi was like a sharp sword, stabbing in all directions. A few of the warriors were unable to dodge in time and were seriously injured. Its senior brother Shangwan from the inner hall. He came out of the medicine hall. Big sister, quickly get out of the way. He looks like he's crazy. It's very likely that he was careless infusing the beast blood and went berserk. Lei Hu recognized the crazy warrior at a glance. Chapter 199. The medicine hall, which was originally in order, suddenly went out of control because of Shangwan Ta's madness. The crowd rushed and scattered. The most unlucky ones were the few students who were about to receive the beast blood at the entrance of the medicine hall. They couldn't escape in time and were injured by Shangwan Ta's fierce fighting energy. The beast blood fusion failed? Yun Shang signaled Gufeng to chant immediately to prevent the warriors' fighting energy from hurting them. If the beast blood fusion succeeds, it will naturally fail. But senior brother Shangwan has already fused a few times. It shouldn't have failed. Lei Hu briefly explained the function of the beast blood fusion. To a magician, the beast blood fusion was very strange. But to warriors, especially warriors from the continent's major martial arts centers, the beast blood fusion was the best choice for them to break through the bottleneck and break through to the next level of the martial arts realm. As everyone knew, although demonic beasts didn't have intelligence, their magic perception and physique were stronger than humans. Unlike magicians, warriors on the boundless continent didn't have magic scepters and couldn't inlay magic soul stones. But they could use the beast blood from demonic beasts to strengthen their bodies. Every warrior could collect beast blood and fuse it when they broke through to the martial arts realm. Through the beast blood fusion, one could obtain a stronger physique and better absorb the fighting energy between heaven and earth. The beast blood fusion was divided into 9 stages. The effect of the beast blood fusion would be different according to the warrior's cultivation and talent. But the greater the benefit, the greater the risk. The majority of magical beast blood contained a heavy ruthless qi. That made it very dangerous to fuse with magical beast blood, especially when it came to the blood of high-level magical beasts. The slightest carelessness could cause a person's cultivation to go berserk. They would become like magical beasts, inhumane and murderous. The senior brother Shangwan that Lei Hu mentioned was Shangwan Ta. He was considered a high-ranking person in the inner dojo. His cultivation was only slightly lower than Chungbai's. For the past year, his cultivation had been stuck at the peak of martial venerable, unable to break through to the next martial arts realm. Some time ago, there was a rumor in the martial arts club that Shangwan Ta could break through the martial realm once he successfully fused with the blood of the blood cloud beast he had snatched from the crown prince. It was very likely that Shangwan Ta had fused with the blood of that blood cloud beast. Yun Sheng saw that the medicine hall was in a mess. There were casualties everywhere. If she didn't take action, the casualties would be even more severe. Yun Sheng lowered her head and asked Lei Hu. Suddenly, she shouted, "Senior Martial Brother Bu?" Shangwan Ta's body suddenly froze, as if he had some misgivings. He looked behind him. Almost at the same time, Yun Sheng went behind Shangwan Ta like a butterfly shuttle. With a bone needle in her hands, she aimed at Shangwan Ta's sleeping acupoint. When Shangwan Ta found that there was no one in front of him, he immediately became furious. He felt that someone was sneak attacking him from behind. When Yun Sheng's bone needle pierced him, a layer of do qi actually appeared on the surface of his body. Under Yun Sheng's piercing, the bone needle was actually shaken off by Shangwan Ta's do qi. Fortunately, Yun Sheng was already prepared. When the bright needle missed, the power of the dark needle had already pierced into Shangwan Ta's body. The next moment, the originally crazy Shangwan Ta staggered and fell to the ground. At this time, an elder rushed out of the medicine hall. When he saw Yun Sheng standing beside Shangwan Ta, he sternly reprimanded, "Who are you?" "Elder Zhang. She is an exchange student from the Magic Academy. We came here to collect the beast blood. We didn't expect to see senior martial brother Shangwan rushing out in a frenzy." Lei Hu hurriedly went forward and said respectfully. When Yun Sheng heard the person's name and looked at his appearance, she found that his facial features were quite similar to Zhang Zi's. It was just that he was slightly older. This person was wearing a doctor's robe. Yun Shang noticed that on his belt, there was also a doctor's tablet from the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. It was a tablet that symbolized the scattered doctors of the four directions. Presumably, this person was the one that Luo Qing mentioned earlier, Zhang Zipo's father, Elder Zhang of the Wushuan Everlasting School's Medicine Hall. When Elder Zhang heard that Yun Shang was an exchange student from the Imperial Magic Academy, he snorted. Elder Zhang's name was a single word, Chao. Originally, he was also a herbalist in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. However, he had some capabilities in the field of pill concoction, and after obtaining the qualifications to become the Ling Doctor, he left the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. After leaving the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, Elder Zhang coincidentally obtained the knowledge of alchemy from the former Imperial Doctor. Relying on this book, he entered the Wushuan Everlasting School's Medicine Hall. Relying on his alchemy skills, he was arrogant and didn't put the other people in the Wushuan Everlasting School in his eyes. His only son, Zhang Zipo, had been ill for a while. Elder Zhang checked again and found that he wasn't sick, but that his skin had been contaminated with a special kind of poisonous powder. There was actually someone who dared to poison his only son. After Elder Zhang found out, he immediately asked Zhang Zipo. Chapter 200. When Elder Zhang heard this, his face changed. He pointed at Yun Shang and scolded. What did you say? You said that there was a problem with the beast blood I refined, and that Shangguan Ta suddenly went crazy because of my beast blood. Just this sentence alone is enough for me to expel you from the martial arts club. Who do you think you are? Wushuan Limitless Martial Arts Club has a deputy head, and it's not your turn to expel a student. I dare to say this, so naturally I have full confidence to prove that what I said is true. I'm sure that Shangguan Ta mistakenly merged with the beast blood you refined from the blood cloud beast, and that's why he became like this. Yun Shang said decisively, Men, capture this wild girl who is full of nonsense and send her to the discipline hall. Elder Zhang looked to his left and right and signaled with his eyes. Wait, she's right. Zhang Chao, who gave you the right to punish a student at will? A few steps away, Zhanli and Bu Jiuxiao walked over. Fortunately, Yi Baiming did not walk with them. Zhanli walked forward to check on Shangguan Ta's situation. Zhanli and Bu Jiuxiao had just returned to the martial arts club. During his absence, Chang Bai had reported to him everything that had happened in the martial arts club, including the fact that the medicine hall used the blood cloud beast to refine the beast blood to help the inner martial arts club students fuse with the beast blood. After knowing this, Zhanli, who had always been bold, took a rare cautious and conservative attitude. He asked the medicine hall to temporarily not distribute the beast blood refined from the blood cloud beast's blood to any student. But who would have thought that when he just came back today, he heard that there was a strange movement in the medicine hall. When he rushed over, he found Shangguan Ta lying on the ground. Yun Shang and Elder Zhang's words fell into the ears of Zhanli and the others without missing a single word. Elder Zhang felt a little uneasy when he saw the deputy curator. Elder Zhang, what's going on? Didn't I tell you not to distribute the blood cloud beast's blood to the students for the time being? Where did Shangguan Ta's beast blood come from? Combat Power checked Shangguan Ta and found that his qi and blood were in a mess. Inside his dantian, there was a surge of evil qi. This qi could tear Shangguan Ta's dantian apart at any time. If it was not handled properly, Shangguan Ta would probably go mad and be unable to learn martial arts for the rest of his life. Elder Zhang stammered. Naturally, he couldn't explain because he had accepted a large sum of money from Shangguan Ta and secretly gave him a portion of the blood cloud beast's blood. In the inner pavilion, Shangguan Ta's strength was already in the top 10. However, compared to the likes of Cheng Bai and Bu Jiuxiao, he was still a little lacking. He bribed Elder Zhang because he was anxious for success. Who would have thought that after consuming the beast blood, he would go crazy? I'll let the commandment hall handle this matter. Zhanli knew his limits. Now was not the time to punish Elder Zhang severely. The most important thing now was to find a way to help Shangguan Ta recover. More importantly, he had to find the reason why the blood cloud beast's blood could make people go crazy. Otherwise, the blood cloud beast's blood could not be used. The blood cloud beast's blood that he had painstakingly obtained earlier would be wasted. Zhangli walked in front of Yunsheng and said earnestly, "You're the magic apothecary in the Royal Magic Academy that day, right? Just now, you called him Senior Brother Bu because you know that in the inner pavilion, the only person Shangwan Ta is afraid of is Bu Jiuxiao, right?" Yunsheng nodded. Behind Zhangli, Bu Jiuxiao couldn't help narrowing his eyes and glancing at Yunsheng a few more times. Just now, when the situation was chaotic, the first reaction of most people would be to run away immediately. However, this child was very calm and knew how to take advantage of other people's weaknesses. As a student of the inner pavilion, Shangwan Ta's strength was in the top 10 of the inner pavilion. However, Yunsheng had also heard from Lei Hu that the most powerful person in the inner pavilion was Bu Jiuxiao. Moreover, this person was a battle maniac. Usually, he liked to find people to fight and practice his battle skills. When he fought, he didn't care about the gender difference. Almost every student in the inner pavilion was scared of him. Naturally, Shangwan Ta was not an exception. In fact, because Shangwan Ta had entered the martial arts academy with Bu Jiuxiao in the early years, the two of them were even in the same dormitory when they were in the outer pavilion. Poor Shangwan Ta. It could be said that he had been abused by Bu Jiuxiao all the way here. He was just like a human sandbag. His misgivings about Bu Jiuxiao were deep in his blood. When he heard Bu Jiuxiao's name, there was a momentary pause. It was also because of that momentary pause that Yunsheng used the medical soul godly needle to succeed in a sneak attack. Although Zhangli didn't see the scene with his own eyes, he asked the people around and knew the whole story. "You're a smart child. However, you should know that in Wushuan Limitless Martial Arts Academy, respect for teachers is very strong. Just now, you didn't respect your elders and slandered Elder Zhang. If you don't have conclusive evidence, Elder Zhang has the right to report to the discipline hall and expel you from the martial arts academy." Zhang Li's tone became heavier. As the deputy pavilion master, he had to be clear about rewards and punishments. Yunsheng punished Shangwan Ta properly. That was a merit. However, if she slandered him with empty words, that was a crime. Clear about rewards and punishments was the foundation of Wushuan Limitless Martial Arts Academy. That's right, Deputy Pavilion Master. This exchange student has a bad heart. She's so young and full of evil tricks. Earlier, she did something to my son, Zhang Zipo. That child's hands and face have been swollen for a while. This kind of student should have been expelled long ago. Elder Zhang said fiercely from the side. If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. Elder Zhang, I want to ask you, why are Zhang Zipo's hands and feet swollen? If he doesn't do painstaking things in his life, if he doesn't touch things that he shouldn't touch, if he doesn't do things that he shouldn't do, how could he get sick? Deputy Pavilion Master, I'm not just saying empty words. He's a doctor, and I'm also a doctor. Yunsheng said and took out her doctor's token. Oh, you're also a doctor? After seeing Yunsheng's ability to refine medicine at the Royal Magic Academy, Zhangli had a deep impression of her. Looking at the doctor's token in Yunsheng's hand, it was indeed made by the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. Deputy Pavilion Master, what she said is true. When Big Sister was in our village, she was very powerful. She even saved the village chief who was seriously injured by magic. Lei Hu said from the side. A 7-year-old doctor who could refine high-level magic medicine. Zhang Li's originally frown couldn't help but loosen. Nonsense, she's clearly a magician. How did she become a doctor? I've never heard of someone who can refine magic medicine and ancient medicine at the same time. Moreover, you're just a doctor. How can you compare to me, a dignified individual doctor? Elder Zhang was fuming with rage at the side. He would rather die than believe that an 8-year-old child could really compare to him. Whether it's true or not, let's compete. Right now, there's a ready-made doctor. Elder Zhang, since you're so proud of your medical skills, let's compete and see who can save Shangwan Ta. Yunsheng was full of confidence. Thank you Pudding and Su Su for your tips. Next chapter. The fox appears, the little wildcat is going to be teased. Chapter 201. Elder Zhang was speechless for a moment. He looked at the silent Shangwan Ta with a complicated expression. In fact, let alone curing Shangwan Ta. Elder Zhang didn't even know why Shangwan Ta was like this. This time, after the blood cloud beast was transported to the medicine hall, Elder Zhang personally came to make the beast blood potion. All the steps and procedures were the same as usual. It was reasonable to say that Shangwan Ta's situation shouldn't have happened. However, after Shangwan Ta took the beast blood potion, there was indeed a problem. Shangwan Ta lost his mind. If the female magician didn't use some method to knock him out, today's situation would be even more serious. Battle Strength was also observing Shangwan Ta's situation from the side. Shangwan Ta had already fallen into a coma, but from his still violently rising and falling chest, the effect of the blood cloud beast blood had not yet disappeared. Moreover, it was becoming more and more intense. What? Is Elder Zhang afraid? Yun Sheng raised her eyebrows. Afraid? What a joke. I am a dignified doctor who has practiced medicine and alchemy for more than 20 years. How could I lose to an arrogant child like you? Let's compete, but if I win, you and your partners will immediately get out of the dojo. Elder Zhang disdainfully calculated in his heart. No matter how good Yun Sheng's talent was, she couldn't have started studying medicine in her mother's womb. If he couldn't see the cause of the illness, then it was even more impossible for Yun Sheng to see the cause of the illness. Unfortunately, Elder Zhang's plan was destined to fail this time. All right, but if it's the other way around and I win, then what? Elder Zhang will also take your wicked son and get out of Wushuan Everlasting School. Yun Sheng said in a stern voice. Her eyes were about to spit out fire. You, what an arrogant tone. You, a yellow-mouthed child, actually dared to talk about this elder. Elder Zhang was a dignified medicine hall elder, usually, who didn't bow and scrape when they saw him. Today, being interrogated by Yun Sheng like this, his old face was red. Wu Profound Limitless School has always been clear about rewards and punishments. Right is right, wrong is wrong. If it is later proven that Elder Zhang has indeed made a mistake in refining the beast blood, yet he still protects and condones it, then that would truly be impudent. Yun Sheng sneered. Her words seemed to be directed at Elder Zhang, but she was actually looking at the vice-curator's fighting strength. The father was greedy for money, and the son was lustful. They were simply a pair of bastards. If they were allowed to stay in the martial arts club, sooner or later there would be more incidents like Shangwan Ta and Lian Xiang. If you don't remove the roots, the weeds will grow again when the spring breeze blows. She had to get rid of the Zhang clan's elder. Zhanli paused and pondered for a moment. All right, I will be the witness for today's matter. Elder Zhang, Shangwan Ta's family is a prominent family in the Jade Capital, so his life and death are of great importance. If you can save him today, I won't pursue the matter from before. However, if he can't be saved, or if he becomes a cripple because of this, the medicinal hall will definitely be implicated. You don't have to be an elder of the medicinal hall. Elder Zhang's complexion suddenly changed. In Zhanli's tone, there was a sign that a storm was coming. Over the years, how could Zhanli, as the deputy curator, not know what the Song family's father and son had done? However, he had always turned a blind eye because of Elder Zhang's ability to refine medicine. However, if Yun Sheng really defeated him, there would be someone more suitable to be an elder of the medicinal hall than Elder Zhang in the Wushuan Limitless School. Then, Zhanli would definitely calculate the cost with interest. Being able to become the deputy curator of the martial arts club, Zhanli was definitely not an ordinary person. With Zhanli's words, Elder Zhang had to compete even if he didn't want to. Someone come, carry Shangwan Ta into the medicinal hall. Everyone else leave together. In order to facilitate the treatment, Zhanli dismissed most of the people, leaving only a few important people. Wait, I still need a helper. Elder Zhang should have his own medicine man. I also need a medicine man to assist me in the treatment. Yun Sheng had a general understanding of Shangwan Ta's condition, but she still needed someone to help her. Oh, I wonder if I can be your helper? Behind her, there was a low voice. When she heard the voice, Yun Sheng was instantly petrified. Yun Sheng didn't need to turn around to know who was behind her. Night Fox. Wherever Yi Baiming was, there would definitely be a strange aura. Even if he didn't say a word, he would still be the focus of everyone's attention. After more than a year, Yi Baiming, who had regained his sight, had become even more astonishing. She should have expected that Yi Baiming, Cheng Bai, and the others were inseparable. Where Cheng Bai and Bu Jiuxiao appeared, Yi Baiming would appear sooner or later. However, she didn't expect him to appear so suddenly. Next, she would start the treatment. If he witnessed her medical skills with his own eyes, earlier, when the deputy director's battle strength came over, the one who accompanied him was only Bu Jiuxiao. This made Yun Sheng heave a sigh of relief. Subconsciously, she still didn't want to meet Yi Baiming again. All kinds of thoughts appeared in her mind. Escape through the door, kill him, and all kinds of thoughts circled around her mind. Yun Sheng calmed herself down. She had almost forgotten that her current voice and smile included her head and figure. Everything was different from 2 years ago. Yi Baiming was blind, so he couldn't remember his own facial features. When she entered Wuxuan Limitless School, Yun Sheng even changed her name to her previous life's name, Yin Yun, for safety's sake. She calmly turned around and looked at the source of the voice with everyone else. Yi Baiming was dressed in black, and Cheng Bai was dressed in white. The two of them, one in black and one in white, were extremely outstanding people. When they stood in the medicine hall, the small medicine hall suddenly felt like it was graced by their presence. Especially Yi Baiming. After Yun Sheng caught a glimpse of him on the street last time, this time, seeing him face to face, she still felt a sense of amazement. This guy was getting more and more monstrous as he grew up. In this life, Yun Sheng had seen many handsome men. Among them, the only ones who could compare to Yi Baiming were probably Xia Ximing, Xia Wanqiu, and the immortal Residence Nation's Divine Wind. However, compared to Divine Wind's ethereal beauty and Xia Wanqiu's handsomeness that was like the warm winter sun, Yi Baiming's handsomeness carried a sense of tyranny and evil. Qi, who was standing behind Yun Sheng, saw the appearance of the person who came, then looked at the slightly stunned Yun Sheng. The ugly face under the magic cloak couldn't help but tremble, and an obscure feeling flashed through his heart. Seeing Yun Sheng staring at him in a daze, Yi Baiming frowned in displeasure. He mistakenly thought that Yun Sheng was like other girls, falling head over heels for his appearance. Cheng Bai had previously said that this female magician from the Royal Magic Academy was very special. Now that he looked at her, other than her elegant appearance, she was no different from an ordinary girl. Yun Sheng sharply caught the hint of disdain in his eyes. She pursed her lips. This guy was still as shameless as ever. When they were in Banana Leaf Village, although Yi Baiming was still blind, his outstanding appearance had charmed all the village girls in Banana Leaf Village. Although he was blind, his senses were sharp, and he would always show a look of disgust every time. Yun Sheng silently cursed. Yi Baiming seemed to be inseparable from Cheng Bai. When the two of them stood together, it really was an extremely eye-catching picture. She just didn't know if the fox was on top or bottom. If Yi Baiming knew what was going on in Yun Sheng's head, he would probably vomit blood in anger. The deputy curator agreed to Yun Sheng's request. Bu Jiuxiao helped Shangguan Ta up and walked towards the medicine hall. Chapter 202. In a secluded elixir room in the pharmacy, the deputy curator, Zhang Li, Bu Jiuxiao, Elder Zhang, Elder Zhang's medicine boy, and Yun Sheng all gathered around Shangguan Ta. According to the order, Elder Zhang should start the treatment first. After all, he was the one who made the beast blood, so he should be the clearest about Shangguan Ta's condition. Lu San, according to the rules of the pharmacy, you should have tested the beast blood that Shangguan Ta took in advance. Did you feel any discomfort? Elder Zhang asked his medicine boy. After getting a negative answer, he methodically checked Shangguan Ta's pulse, eyelids, and heartbeat. Then he found the bottle that contained the beast blood and took some of it. After a careful examination, he still didn't find any clues. As time passed, Elder Zhang still didn't have a clue. He kept wiping the cold sweat on his forehead. Elder Zhang, it's getting dark. Have you found out the cause of the illness? Yun Sheng asked indifferently. What's the rush? Shangguan Ta's condition is a strange illness. It has never appeared in the whole Zhou state. Deputy Curator, I think we should go to the Medicine Emperor Pavilion and ask some doctors to come and discuss. Elder Zhang really couldn't figure out why Shangguan Ta went crazy. Zhang Li looked at Yun Sheng again. What do you think? Should we ask the doctors of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion to come and help? If it wasn't necessary, Zhonli didn't want to ask the Medicine Emperor Pavilion to come. No need. I just need to take the same blood of the Blood Cloud Beast and the records of Shangwan Ta's previous beast blood fusion. Yun Shang was full of confidence. She didn't hesitate at all in her words. Her magnanimous gaze and confident tone made Elder Zhang even more embarrassed. Nonsense. You alone can't cure Shangwan Ta's strange disease. If you delay any longer, I'm afraid Shangwan Ta will be in danger. Elder Zhang blushed. The female magician was obviously fooling around. She didn't even check the patient and claim that she could cure Shangwan Ta. It was impossible. Deputy Curator, I dare to use my life to guarantee that as long as you let me treat him, not only will I be able to cure him, I can also guarantee that tomorrow morning, Wu Profound Limitless Hall will have another martial marquee. Just as Yun Shang finished speaking, everyone present was shocked. What arrogant words! But if she didn't have full confidence, where did this female magician's confidence come from? Wu Ho, that meant that she had the confidence to help Shangwan Ta break through. To be able to help a cultivator who had gone berserk break through, there was probably no doctor in the world who had the confidence to do so. If Elder Zhang couldn't do it, perhaps even when Dagua of Zhou State might not be able to do it. Fighting strength hesitated. In his early years on the battlefield, he had never been as hesitant as he was today. If he succeeded, then it would naturally be the good news of Wu Profound Limitless Hall, but if he failed, Yun Shang, who was used to seeing the entangled mentality of the family members of patients, saw that fighting strength was silent. She knew that he was very entangled at this moment. She took a step forward and said with incomparable sincerity, Deputy Curator, you must believe that none of the cultivators of Wu Profound Limitless Hall are greedy for life and afraid of death. Master, just let her give it a try. Lu San, according to what she said, bring another set of beast blood and the records of Shangwan Ta's beast blood fusion in the early years. Yi Baiming glanced at Yun Shang. He wanted to know what Yun Shang planned to do next. The new set of beast blood and the records of Shangwan Ta's beast blood fusion in the previous years were sent over not long after. The beast blood had already been delivered, but Yun Shang did not immediately make a move. She first flipped through the records of Shangwan Ta's beast blood fusion in the previous years. As she read, Yun Shang sighed in her heart. Shangwan Ta could be considered an expert at leveling up. In the 5 years that he had been in the hall, he had successfully fused beast blood 3 times. Every fusion was very successful. None of them were like this time. Deputy Curator, if you want to see a doctor, I have another condition. You also know that I was born as a magician, and what I learned was the combination of ancient medical skills and magic potions. When I am treating, I must use magic, but right now, I am under a magic lock, so I cannot use magic. Yun Shang said and paused. You are negotiating with me. You want me to break the rules of Wushuan Limitless School and help you unlock your magic lock? Zhonli frowned. He was somewhat displeased. Bu Jiuxiao and the others who were at the side could not help but look at Yun Shang in a new light. Yi Baiming narrowed his gray eyes. In Wushuan Limitless School, the only one who dared to negotiate with Zhonli was probably Yun Shang. Even in the entire Zhou state, there were no more than 5 people who dared to talk about conditions with Zhonli. As the deputy curator of Wushuan Limitless School, Zhonli had a high position and authority. In the daily affairs of the martial arts school, it could be said that hundreds of people responded to his call. The taste of being threatened was not good. If you want me to promise to unlock the magic lock, that is fine, but you have to withstand my test. He snorted, and an invisible dou qi spread out. The small medicine hall suddenly became tense. Yun Shang only felt a strong pressure on her body, as if someone was going to crush her bones, internal organs. Yun Shang sneered in her heart. He wanted to use his pressure to make her submit. How could she give in? From the day she put on the magic lock, she had already said that she would remove it. Not only did she want to remove it, she also wanted the people of Wushuan Limitless School to personally beg her to remove it. Yun Shang straightened her back, her pair of black eyes staring at Zhonli from beginning to end. Her eyes were magnanimous, without the slightest bit of fear. It's not a condition. I'm just asking for the reward I deserve. I'm just an exchange student, not a member of the martial arts school. Treating Shangwan Ta was only out of my medical ethics. I don't need a reward. My condition is that you must unlock my magic lock. Not only that, I also have a request, and that is that the three of us can freely use magic in Wushuan Limitless School from now on. Yun Sheng's face was calm. What if I don't agree? The dookie around Zhang Li's body became even more biting cold. The biting cold doqi was like a wildly dancing blade, brushing past Yun Sheng with a chi-chi sound. Her tender skin was cut open, and she was also forced to take a step back. However, Yun Sheng was not frightened by Zhang Li's appearance. She took a deep breath, squatted down, and used the horse-riding stance. Good fellow, she actually went against the deputy director. The expressions of the people at the side suddenly changed. Zhang Li coldly snorted. His cultivation was considered to be one of the top figures in the current Jade capital. In terms of strength, he was probably only below the father and son of the Yun residents, who had reached the level of a martial sage. Yun Sheng was now an archmage, and with the physique of a magician, Zhang Li could crush her into pieces in a matter of minutes. However, the Yun Sheng in front of him greatly exceeded his expectations. The biting cold dookie was still fluttering around Yun Sheng, and there were bloody wounds on her face. The few people at the side were all forced to use their dookie to protect themselves, and only then could they barely avoid being injured by Zhang Li's dookie. Zhang Li's eyes narrowed again, and a wave of dookie collided head-on with Yun Sheng. This attack contained 20% of Zhang Li's strength. Seeing that wave of dookie colliding with Yun Sheng, her body flew out like a willow leaf, smashing into the wall at the side. Chapter 203. Just as Yun Sheng was about to be smashed into the wall and heavily injured, a wide black robe swept past her like a leaf. Yun Sheng's body was gently caught by the robe, and she was already in a tight embrace. Yi Baiming flicked his sleeve again and sucked the battle chi into his sleeve. Feeling the thick arms beneath her, Yun Sheng's heart skipped a beat. She subconsciously raised her head, but unfortunately, she wasn't tall enough and could only see the perfect curve of his chin. Yi Baiming, who was already 13 years old this year, already had some stubble on his chin, and his Adam's apple was even more prominent. Through the thin spring clothes, Yun Sheng could feel Yi Baiming's steady heartbeat. It was abnormally strong, and it shook her brain until it was ringing. Yi Baiming was also bending over to look at Yun Sheng in his arms. What entered his eyes was a pair of dark eyes that flashed with astonishment. Yi Baiming discovered that this female magus from the Imperial Magic Academy had a pair of very beautiful eyes. Ever since he regained his sight, Yi Baiming had seen many women. The imperial concubines in Zhou State's palace, the female warriors in the dojo, and there was no lack of outstanding beauties like Chun Lianer. However, none of them had a pair of clear and beautiful eyes like the woman in his arms. At this moment, in Yi Baiming's eyes, Yun Sheng's eyes were filled with fear, like a frightened deer. Yi Baiming's actions had shocked his two good brothers and his teacher. What kind of show was this? Could it be that Yi Baiming had suddenly changed? Cheng Bai was even more indignant at the side. Sigh, Baiming, aren't your hands a little too long? No matter what, this scene of a hero saving a damsel in distress should be played by the handsome and suave me. Not only did those who knew Yi Baiming not understand, even Yi Baiming himself didn't understand why he had suddenly acted. The other party was just a stranger he had never met before. He had never been a person who had tender feelings for the fairer sex. Ahem, Baiming, Shangwan Ta is going to die if you keep hugging him like this. Even Bu Jiuxiao couldn't stand it anymore. He used a teasing tone to wake Yi Baiming up. At the same time, he also woke everyone else up. Yi Baiming let go of his hands and retreated to the side. His face was still cool, but his ears were slightly red. The deputy curator also looked at the two red-faced students with a faint smile on his face. Ha, Baiming, this child, is finally enlightened. Zhang Li had never seen his disciple blushing. Today, he had learned something new. Based on his combat experience, he seemed to have sensed that something was amiss. You're a stubborn lass. Fine, I can remove the magic lock for you, And I can also remove the magic lock for your two companions, but you must cure Shangguan Ta. Combat strengths probing just now actually didn't make Yunsheng yield. This already made him very surprised. I definitely won't disappoint the deputy curator. Yunsheng heaved a sigh of relief. She had achieved her goal. Zhanli was a man of his words. He immediately used his doqi to remove the magic lock on Yunsheng. Once the magic lock was removed, Yunsheng immediately started the treatment. Please help me test these portions of beast blood. I want to see the process of blood fusion with my own eyes. Yunsheng took the beast blood and sniffed it. Shangguan Ta had fused the beast blood 3 times. Including this time, he had fused the beast blood 4 times. Earlier, when Yi Baiming stood up, Yunsheng didn't stop him because she knew that Yi Baiming's body was very strong. If even Shangguan Ta couldn't suppress the beast blood, there probably weren't many people in Wuxian Wuji school who could control it. Yi Baiming could be considered a candidate. But what puzzled Yunsheng was that when she said that Yi Baiming would undergo the beast blood fusion, the people around looked at each other. Especially Cheng Bai and Bu Jiuxiao, their expressions were very strange. Could it be that she said something wrong? What? You can't do it? Yunsheng glanced at Yi Baiming. The latter was silent and looked at her meaningfully. I can do it, but I don't know if you can. There's no problem at all. Yunsheng was curious. Yi Baiming, don't be so wishy-washy. Someone, prepare the bathtub. Cheng Bai grinned. The combat strength at the side gave him a warning look, and that guy immediately became quiet. Prepare the bathtub? An ominous premonition immediately arose in Yunsheng's heart. Could it be that the so-called beast blood fusion was not to be drunk directly? Seeing a wooden tub filled with hot water, Yunsheng felt her hair stand on end. She finally understood what Yi Baiming meant when he asked, "Can you do it?" The beast blood fusion in the Wu Ji continent referred to the bathing of fused beast blood. The person who fused beast blood would soak in the hot water of fused beast blood until the beast blood was completely absorbed by the bones and tendons. Of course, the prerequisite was that the fused person had to strip naked in order to better fuse the beast blood. Everyone, make way first. Leave Elder Zhang and her alone. The combat strength was unwilling to watch his disciple bathe. Cheng Bai was very unwillingly dragged out by Bu Jiuxiao. Yunsheng wailed in her heart. Curiosity really killed the cat. If she had known, she would not have stood up and said that there was a problem with the beast blood. Yi Baiming took off his outer coat, revealing a white silk satin shirt. He took it off without hesitation, but Yunsheng looked uncomfortable. Forget it. Forget it. It's not like I'm at a loss. There's a free bath picture of a handsome man. This is not an opportunity that everyone has. Yunsheng kept comforting herself. Yunsheng could only brace herself and watch. The more Yunsheng looked down, the more she praised Yi Baiming in her heart. She did not expect him to have such a good figure. Don't blame me, it's just a corpse on the operating table. It was a corpse, but this corpse looked good. Yes, the legs were very long, and the muscles looked delicious. Yunsheng fully displayed her good qualities as a doctor. Perhaps noticing her unabashed gaze, Yi Baiming raised his eyebrows slightly, and an evil smile appeared on his lips. He suddenly sped up his movements, and in a few moments, a muscular male body appeared in front of Yunsheng. Yunsheng almost choked on her breath. Her little face was either choked by the steam or shocked by Yi Baiming's actions. Stop. Don't take off your underwear. Yunsheng could not remain calm. You can start the fusion. Just tell me how you feel. I will add in the 4 types of beast blood one by one. Yunsheng was not in a good mood. Yi Baiming was only left with a thin pair of underwear. After soaking in the water, it was no different from being naked. The blood cloud beast reeked of blood. Yi Baiming frowned. Outside the medicine hall, Cheng Bai did not know what was good for him. He leaned against the door, trying to sneak a peek inside. But all he saw was a room full of smoke and ambiguity. He could not see anything at all. Chapter 204. What Yunsheng didn't know was that this was Yi Baiming's first time fusing beast blood. Due to his blindness in his early years, Although Yi Baiming was a dual cultivator of magic and martial arts, no one had fused beast blood for him. After being confined in the cold palace, there was no such condition. His cultivation, however, was achieved step by step. He didn't rely on beast blood or medicinal pills at all. What are you going to do? Yi Baiming saw Yun Sheng take out 4 bottles. It's very simple. I suspect that the real reason for Shangguan Ta's madness isn't just because of that blood cloud beast blood. It's because the blood cloud beast blood conflicted with the blood cloud beast blood that he had consumed in the past few years. That's why he went crazy this time. Yun Sheng said, and presented the record of the blood cloud beast blood that Shangguan Ta had consumed in the past few years. Therefore, what she needed to do next was to let Yi Baiming gradually fuse the 4 types of beast blood and observe his reaction to determine whether her judgment was correct. The few bottles of beast blood she wanted happened to be the same ones that Shangguan Ta had fused with before. Because there were many martial arts students in the martial arts school, there was a large amount of beast blood solvent in the medicine hall of Wushuan Wuji School. Similar beast blood would also be preserved using a special secret method, so that it wouldn't deteriorate after several years. The beast blood Yun Sheng wanted could be said to be exactly the same as the one Shangguan Ta had fused with in his early years. Shangguan Ta had taken 3 types of beast blood. Other than the blood cloud beast blood number 4, Yun Sheng used beast blood number 1, beast blood number 2, and beast blood number 3 to distinguish between them. Yi Baiming had never heard of the theory of beast blood conflicts, but he didn't question it and directly entered the bathtub. As soon as he entered the bathtub, after Yi Bei's blood, he felt a warm current enter his skin. It was as if he had a thin layer of sweat, but that was it. What a strong physique, as expected of the monstrous night fox. After Yun Sheng poured out the first bottle of beast blood, she carefully observed from the side. Generally speaking, the stronger a person's martial realm cultivation was, the faster they could absorb the beast blood solvent. If other doctors saw Yi Baiming's absorption method, they would definitely think that he was a monster. However, Yun Sheng looked as if she was used to it. She was already used to Yi Baiming's evilness. According to the records, Shangguan Ta took half a day to assimilate the first bottle of beast blood, but Yi Baiming's body only took an instant to completely assimilate the first bottle of beast blood. After the beast blood fusion, Yi Baiming's body did not change at all. Even his skin color did not change. It's the second bottle of beast blood. Yun Sheng had also gotten used to the fact that there was a naked man in front of her. She simply walked to the side of the wooden barrel and poured the second bottle of beast blood into it. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on Yi Baiming's body as she paid attention to his changes. After the second bottle of beast blood was poured in, the assimilation time this time was slightly longer. However, it only took a few minutes for the beast blood to completely enter Yi Baiming's body. The water in the wooden barrel became clear for the second time. It's the third bottle. This is the blood of a level 6 magical beast, Yun Sheng reminded first. Yi Baiming did not say anything. He only motioned for Yun Sheng to continue. At this time, the two of them had already cooperated very well. Even though Yun Sheng was close at hand, Yi Baiming did not feel uncomfortable at all. Under the steaming steam, Yun Sheng's forehead hair was already wet. Her lips had also become unusually plump, like a red cherry. Her pair of black eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of water. The third bottle of beast blood took 15 minutes to completely assimilate. So far, the 3 bottles of beast blood had been assimilated in succession. Yi Baiming did not feel any discomfort at all. It's the 4th bottle. It's the blood of the blood cloud beast, the violent earth bear. Yun Sheng was a little nervous. Victory or defeat depended on this moment. If she could prove that she could cure Shangguan Ta and eradicate the 2 malignant tumors of the martial arts club, the Zhang father and son, it all depended on this moment. The two of them fixed their eyes on the 4th bottle of beast blood. The viscous blood was poured into the water. After the first 3 bottles of beast blood, the water in the wooden barrel, which was waist high, had already become slightly cold. But as soon as the 4th bottle of beast blood was poured into the wooden barrel, the water, which had already lost its white steam, began to violently tumble like sulfuric acid being poured into water. The water in the wooden barrel was like someone had stuffed a fire under it. Countless blood bubbles tumbled and crazily rushed towards Yi Baiming's body. Yi Baiming's originally expressionless face suddenly narrowed his pupils. His skin was scalding hot, as if it had been watered with a layer of chilly water. The blood of the violent earth bear, the blood of the blood cloud beast, was full of hostility. It tore at Yi Baiming's skin like a mighty army that had heard the bugle call to charge. It poured into his muscles and veins. Countless hostility, like countless needles, pierced into Yi Baiming's body. Phew! Yi Baiming's strong body shook. He wanted to circulate the fighting energy in his body to relieve the erosion of this hostility. But what surprised him was that the moment he circulated his fighting energy, he felt that there were 4 different forces of beast blood colliding with each other in his body. Was this the conflict of beast blood? What the female magician said was true. But at this moment, Yi Baiming had no time to tell the truth. The 4 different forces of beast blood, especially the hostility in the violent earth bear's blood, suddenly aroused the darkest side of Yi Baiming's heart. His consciousness began to blur. Blood, the smell of blood. Yunsheng had never seen Yi Baiming lose control like this. Her heart instantly rose to her throat. "You, how are you?" She also didn't expect that the conflict of beast blood would have such a big side effect on Yi Baiming. "You, leave this place immediately. Call the deputy curator." Yi Baiming's face was full of pain. He couldn't help but grip the wooden barrel with both hands. With the sound of wood cracking, the edge of the barrel was crushed into powder. Memories that had been suppressed in the depths of his heart, once again appeared like a nightmare. It was as if he saw that night again, the desolate harem. Many years ago, in the desolate depths of the palace, the blind crown prince. After Empress went crazy, Yi Baiming was handed over to Imperial Consort Qi. In front of others, Imperial Consort Qi, who looked like a little white flower, loved the crown prince as if he was her own son. But in private, she used all kinds of sarcastic words to attack him. When Imperial Consort Qi's palace maids served Yi Baiming to sleep, they said those words by the bed. "Did you hear? Empress Li is miserable. Haha, isn't that so? She was originally a flower, but now she's like rotten meat. Fighting with our imperial consort is simply reckless. His Majesty loves our imperial consort Qi the most. He only married Empress Li because of her family's money and power. That's right. I heard that Empress Li has no one to serve her at all. Her hands and feet are broken, and maggots are growing in her wounds. The older one is dying, and the younger one inside doesn't have many good days either. He's just a blind man. Our first prince is the real crown prince of Zhou State in the future. He was blind, but he wasn't deaf. At that time, Yi Baiming, who was only 5 years old, couldn't hold back after hearing about his biological mother's miserable situation. After the palace maids left, he quietly groped his way out of the bedroom. He fell a few times along the way and made his way to the cold palace. Thank you to Sunny Day and Mao Xiaoya for their tips. Also, thank you to everyone who recommended, voted, and subscribed to Diffuzi. Chapter 205. The Forbidden Palace was cold and cheerless. The blind Yi Baiming could only grope around and use all his strength to push open the heavy door. The sound of the door opening was so dull that it made one shudder. Even though he couldn't see, Yi Baiming still remembered the scene of that night. When he pushed open the door, a gust of cold wind with the stench of rotting flesh blew past his face. Due to his blindness, his hearing was unusually sharp, and he could hear a familiar moaning sound. "Mother." The only reply to Yi Baiming was a moaning sound. Yi Baiming hesitated, but his longing for his mother made him step into the Forbidden Palace. He groped around and kicked over several tables and chairs until he reached Empress Li's bed. Bypassing the moldy silk curtain, his tender fingers touched the woman's hands and feet. Empress Li's hands and feet were all broken. After they grew back, they were broken. After they grew back, they were broken again. In the imperial harem where Consort Qi controlled everything, and with the indulgence of the Emperor of Zhou State, Empress Li, who was detained in the Forbidden Palace, lived a life worse than death. When he touched the wriggling maggots on his mother's body, he was so frightened that he almost screamed. Ming Empress, who was already delirious, let out a weak cry. She only said one sentence, Ming kill me. Bang! There was a burst of water vapor, and Yun Sheng's vision blurred. Yi Baiming, who was in the wooden tub, was surrounded by a thick fog of fighting energy. At this moment, Yun Sheng noticed that something had appeared behind Yi Baiming. A tattoo had appeared on his back. The tattoo looked like a demonic beast, but it didn't look like any demonic beast that Yun Sheng had seen before. Its head was like a lion's, with a pair of horns on its forehead and scales all over its skin. There was a dense black aura around the totem, and the black aura was still spreading. At this moment, Yi Baiming's eyes turned black under the influence of the black aura, and he looked like a demon from hell. Yun Sheng wanted to take a step forward to get a better look, but Deputy Curator Zhang Li had already arrived. Baiming. Zhang Li was shocked to see him so clear-headed. He moved as fast as lightning and held down Yi Baiming's hands to prevent him from hurting anyone. Zhou Xiao, Chengbai, protect the exchange student. As Zhang Li held Yi Baiming down, he also felt an astonishing fighting aura in his body. Zhang Li's strength, Zhang Li's almost couldn't handle it. Azazazaz. Looking at Yi Baiming's back again, the black tattoo totem's color was getting darker. Don't touch him. Zhang Li's S's, the scepter's Azazaz. Zhang Li's a cold and mysterious calming magical element enveloped combat force and Yi Baiming. Under the effect of the cloud dream eye sleep, Yi Baiming's boiling beast blood temporarily cooled down. Yun Sheng took a step forward, the 4 seasons glass needles in her hand infused with mana. 4 needles pierced into the beast head tattoo on Yi Baiming's back. When the bone needles entered his body, 4 streams of black beast blood spurted out. Yi Baiming's expression relaxed as the black tattoo on his back disappeared. There was dead silence in the medicine hall. Yun Sheng's face turned pale. She put away the 4 seasons glass needle and looked behind Yi Baiming. The tattoo on his skin had disappeared. Baiming, are you all right? Just now, what on earth happened? Chengbai sighed endlessly. Beast blood, just now. After I fused with several types of beast blood, the fighting aura in my body became chaotic and the beast blood conflicted with each other. Shangguan Ta's situation should be similar to mine. Yi Baiming looked deeply at Yun Sheng, who was not far away, with a deep look in his eyes. Elder Zhang, who was standing at the side, also had an ashen face. As you saw just now, the beast blood was the cause of Shangguan Ta and Yi Baiming's fighting aura becoming chaotic and almost unable to extricate themselves. The beast blood itself may not be a problem, but when the first 3 types of beast blood were mixed together, it happened to conflict with the 4th type of beast blood. Yun Sheng said word by word. Yi Baiming's beast blood fusion had proved her initial idea. Elder Zhang's face turned green and purple. Ridiculous. I have never heard of beast blood conflicting with each other. Moreover, Shangguan Ta had already completed the previous few beast blood fusions. It is impossible for any beast blood to remain in his body. Just now, you chased all of us out. I don't know if you did something secretly. Elder Zhang refused to believe Yun Sheng's discovery. In the pharmacology that he had learned, there was never any mention of beast blood conflicting with each other. In his opinion, only what was written in the medicine encyclopedia was medical knowledge. A mere little girl who had only studied medicine for a few years actually dared to challenge his authority. He was a widely recognized scatter doctor in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion and was only a step away from becoming an imperial doctor. How could he be defeated by her? Just because you have never heard of it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Then let me ask you, if the foggrass and red stone powder are consumed together, will there be any conflict? Yun Sheng did not take Elder Zhang seriously at all. These doctors from the boundless world loved to be self-righteous. Did they know that magic couldn't be used in medicine? Did they know that beast blood conflicted with each other? Everyone's body condition was different, and the symptoms produced were also different. They did not even understand the basic constitution of a person and blindly carried out beast blood fusions. Chapter 206. Elder Zhang. Elder Zhang's medicine man, Lu San, hurriedly helped Elder Zhang up. But at this moment, no one cared about Elder Zhang's condition anymore. Lu San could only help Elder Zhang out of the medicine hall in a sorry state. Well said. Relieving, relieving. I've already said that Elder Zhang only has a few types of elixirs. Master, you didn't believe me. Cheng Bai was the first to applaud, but Zhanli gave him a warning look. Then do you have a corresponding treatment method? Although Zhanli was not well versed in medicine, Yun Sheng's words made some sense. It can't be considered a treatment method. I still need to conduct a clinical trial on Yi Baiming. The beast blood in his body has only been temporarily suppressed by me. I still need to perform acupuncture. Yun Sheng seemed to have become the modern goddess of medicine again. She was in high spirits as she spoke. As a doctor, it was a headache, but also an exciting thing to encounter a new case. Regarding the conflict of beast blood, a normal doctor could not determine it at all. They could only deduce whether the beast blood itself was poisonous. They could not make a deduction based on the living habits and diet of the magical beast. Yun Sheng was a doctor and a summoner at the same time. Relying on her understanding of magical beasts, she was able to deduce the conflict of beast blood. This was a new medical concept that had never been proposed in the Boundless Continent. Clinical trial, what was that? Seeing that Zhanli and the others were confused, Yun Sheng could only use practice to prove it. After getting Zhanli's promise, Yun Sheng began the treatment. She originally wanted to dismiss the few people around her, but looking at their reactions, none of them were willing to leave. They were concerned about Shangguan Ta, but also curious. Yun Sheng had said that if she succeeded in the treatment, Shangguan Ta would most likely break through. Yun Sheng had no choice but to start the treatment in front of everyone. She treated this group of people as medical observers. Describe the situation of the fighting energy in your body just now. Yun Sheng asked Yi Baiming. There's a restless qi in my body, as if it's going to break out of my body. Yi Baiming's physique was very strong. Even he could feel such obvious fluctuations of hostility, let alone Shangguan Ta from earlier. It's because of the conflict of beast blood. Be careful, don't move. I'm going to perform acupuncture. Yun Sheng said as she took out 4 needles. When Yun Sheng took out the needles, the few people present, especially Yi Baiming's eyes lit up slightly. He was in a frenzy just now. He did not see Yun Sheng's needles. Yun Sheng's 4 seasons glass needles were very special. They all saw that the needles were a magic weapon refined with a special method. Yun Sheng skillfully identified several acupoints on Yi Baiming's body. Her needles were like moving clouds and flowing water. In a moment, several major acupoints on Yi Baiming's body were blocked. Every time Yun Sheng inserted a needle, Yi Baiming felt the burning sensation gradually disappear. Looking at Yun Sheng's hand, after inserting an acupoint, she would use the magic power to gently move the glass needle in her hand. No one knew that at this time, the needle in Yun Sheng's hand was greedily absorbing the hostility in Yi Baiming's body. This was the advantage of the dark magic soul. For others, the hostility that could make people go crazy was the favorite thing of the dark magic soul in Yun Sheng's body. Yun Sheng inserted a total of 4 needles on Yi Baiming's body. The dark magic soul in her body also swallowed a large amount of dark hostility. Soon, a black substance floated on the surface of Yi Baiming's body. That substance was unbearably smelly. Any warrior would know that it was the impurities and filth in the human body. Generally speaking, this was the effect of a warrior's bone marrow cleansing after their first beast blood fusion. However, the process of bone marrow cleansing would take at least a day and a night. How long did Yi Baiming take? It seemed to be less than a quarter of an hour, right? The conflict has disappeared. There is no more cramping pain in my abdomen. Yi Baiming only felt that his whole body was comfortable under the effect of Yun Sheng's needles. Not only that, but he also felt comfortable all over. His originally impetuous mood also calmed down a lot. Yun Sheng put away the needles, her face full of joy. There is a vigorous force in my body. I'll take a bath first. Even Yi Baiming himself could not stand the stench on his body. Baiming, how do you feel? Zhanli's expression changed. Even though Zhanli had seen countless people, he had never seen such a miraculous thing. Others might not feel it, but he could feel the change in Yi Baiming's body. That kid's cultivation was most likely. Zhanli did not change his expression. He did not know if the little girl had seen through Yi Baiming's secret. However, even if she had seen through it, Zhanli did not intend to pursue it. Talana, the heavens were really blessing him, Wuxuan Wuji. This little girl's medical skills were probably not even comparable to the imperial doctors in the palace. Zhanli believed that such medical skills, not to mention Elder Zhang of the medicine hall, even the imperial doctors of the medicine emperor pavilion would not be able to do it. How many needles did that little girl use just now? It seemed like only 4 needles. Only 4 needles, and Yi Baiming's cultivation had increased. Zhanli felt an impulse. If not for the fact that his disciple was present, he really wanted to ask Yunsheng to give him a few needles as well. Only then did Yunsheng put away the needles and rest for a moment. She was also recalling the needles just now. Just as she had expected, the hostility caused by the conflict of beast blood could be eliminated with the divine soul healing needle passed down in her family. There were a total of 4 needles. If she maintained the current state, she would probably only need 1 needle. Fortunately, Yi Baiming had a tyrannical constitution. Otherwise, she really did not dare to blindly test it out using people. After drinking a bottle of meditation water, Yunsheng immediately began to treat Shangwan Ta. After a round of treatment, Yunsheng indeed cleared away the remaining hostility in Shangwan Ta's body around dawn. Treating Shangwan Ta was much easier than treating Yi Baiming. The dark magic soul in Yunsheng's body grew by another circle. It looked like it was about the same as the other 4 types of magic souls. Yunsheng believed that if she used the dark thorns now, the effect would definitely be much better than before. The evil qi in his body has already been cleared. It can be considered a blessing in disguise. Although the evil qi has caused him to be delirious, it has also helped him open up a few vital martial veins in his body. If nothing unexpected happens, he has already broken through to the martial marquis realm. Yunsheng had just finished speaking when she raised her head and discovered that everyone around her was looking at her as if they were looking at a monster. He broke through with just a few needles? Chengbai stuttered. Yunsheng said unhappily, "Do you want me to give you a few needles too?" Heavens, this is too exaggerated. What kind of needles are you using? It's too amazing. Come, give me a few needles. Cheng Bai's face was drooling as he moved closer. I think you don't need needles, but a beating. Yi Baiming, who had changed his clothes, narrowed his eyes and walked in. As he ridiculed Cheng Bai, his gray eyes darkened. He looked at Yunsheng with an indescribable expression. Chapter 207. After being scolded by Yi Baiming, Cheng Bai instantly turned from a ruffian to a little white rabbit. He shrank to the side and did not move at all. Yunsheng, who originally thought it was very funny, was stared at by Yi Baiming like this. She felt a chill in her heart. She couldn't have been exposed, right? However, she still had a calm expression on her face. She prescribed a few herbs for the medicine hall's herbalist to decoct the medicine. Seeing Yunsheng's indifferent expression, Yi Baiming's heart became even more suspicious. Just now, when Yunsheng was performing acupuncture, he had an illusion that the young girl in front of him was the little wild cat from Banana Leaf Village. The same stubborn temper, the same arrogance. Was it her? Yi Baiming thought to himself. Just now, when Yunsheng was performing acupuncture, Yi Baiming felt a sense of familiarity. If he remembered correctly, the little wild cat was also good at using needles. However, when he looked at Yunsheng's figure and age, as well as her voice, they were all different from the little wild cat in his memory. It was no wonder that Yi Baiming was able to recognize Yunsheng. Not to mention that his eyesight was not good before, the Yunsheng in front of him, because she had experienced a breakthrough, her figure and appearance had changed quite a bit. During this period of time, she had undergone a period of cultivation in Wuxuan Limitless School, and her figure and appearance had changed. Just now, Yi Baiming also hugged Yunsheng. He weighed her in his hand, and the feeling was completely different from the little wild cat that was a little clumsy in the past. It seemed she was a lot heavier and also a lot rounder. The feeling was quite good, but No matter how he looked at it, she looked like she was 11 or 12 years old, and definitely not 8 years old. On the boundless continent, there were many doctors who used needles. Thinking of this, Yi Baiming could not help but sigh in his heart. Just at this time, Shangguan Ta woke up and interrupted Yi Baiming's thoughts. Seeing that Shangguan Ta had woken up, Yunsheng took the initiative to get up and leave. Inside the medicine hall, a storm was brewing. Although Shangguan Ta had woken up, Zhang Li's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. It was time to settle old scores. Yunsheng walked out of the medicine hall and walked toward the inner hall unhurriedly. Zhang Clan's father and son, you're on your own now. Master, senior brothers, why are you all here? Shangguan Ta had experienced life and death after the beast blood conflict. Bu Jiuxiao told Shangguan Ta the whole story. After Shangguan Ta heard it, he knew that he had gone mad. Shangguan Ta was filled with regret when he learned that he had injured many of his junior brothers from the other martial arts school. He also told Combat Strength about Elder Zhang's promise that the blood cloud beast's blood was absolutely harmless, how he had spent 10,000 gold coins to exchange for a portion of the beast's blood, and how several of the Inner Hall disciples had also bought the beast's blood. After Combat Strength learned that Elder Zhang had disregarded the safety of the martial artists in the martial arts school in order to amass wealth, he ordered people to find the martial artists who had bribed Elder Zhang and punish them severely. As soon as Combat Strength gave the order, there was a commotion outside the medicine hall. Walking out to take a look, he saw Luo Qing leading more than 100 female martial artists in front of the medicine hall. After they learned that Elder Zhang had lost his power, those female martial artists who had been humiliated by Zhang Zipo also told Combat Strength about their humiliation. Luo Qing even told Combat Strength about Lin Xiang's humiliation in the early years. For a moment, the cries and wails of the female martial artists gave Combat Strength a headache. Combat Strength did not know that Zhang Clan's father and son dared to be so reckless. He flew into a rage and immediately sent people to capture Elder Zhang and Zhang Zipo. The martial artists who went to capture them quickly returned and reported that Elder Zhang had already fled to the Jade Capital's Medicine Emperor Pavilion with Zhang Zipo. Master, Elder Zhang and Medicine Emperor Pavilion's Cheng Sihai are said to be related by marriage. I think Elder Zhang must be thinking of borrowing the Medicine Emperor Pavilion's power to avoid the martial arts school's pursuit. Bu Jiuxiao was very familiar with the situation in the Jade Capital. With a little deduction, he knew where Elder Zhang had gone. Martial artists outside the Medicine Emperor Pavilion were like magicians outside the temple. In order to respect the Medicine Emperor Pavilion's treatment of martial artists over the years, there was an unwritten rule in the martial arts schools of the continent that no one could disobey. No martial artist could force their way into the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. Elder Zhang was sure that Combat Strength would not dare to bring people into the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, which was why he had fled there. Old man, he really thinks that by hiding in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, I can't do anything to him. Jiuxiao, use the sect order. No matter what method you use, you must capture Zhang Clan's father and son, dead or alive, Combat Strength said sternly. Yi Baiming, Cheng Bai, and Bu Jiuxiao looked at each other. It seemed like Combat Strength was really angered this time. Once the sect order was issued, it meant that hundreds of thousands of sect disciples in Zhou State had to listen to it. If there were sect disciples who could complete the mission given by the sect order, they could also request Wushuan Limitless School for a matter in the future. These sect disciples, from peddlers to hunters and merchants, added together, they were a powerful force. From the moment Combat Strength issued the sect order, Zhang Clan's father and son were no different from dead people. A few days after the news of Combat Strength issuing the sect order spread, there was news very quickly. Zhang Zipu was dead. This guy was also not afraid of death. He hid in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion and did not change his lust. When he went out to sleep, he was found dead on a woman's stomach. A few days after Zhang Zipu's death, Elder Zhang went crazy, and because of this, he even alarmed the medicinal fragrance of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. In just a few days, the Zhang clan's father and son had died and gone crazy. This kind of result surprised Yunsheng, and also allowed her to experience the strength of Wushuan Limitless School. However, Yun Sheng did not take this matter to heart. After saving Shangguan Ta, the dark magic soul in her body had absorbed too much evil qi, so she needed to meditate and fuse with it. Once she fused with it, a day and night unknowingly passed. She even forgot about her morning, afternoon, and night training. After a while of breathing in and out, Yun Sheng slowly opened her eyes and exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi. The sky outside was already bright. She looked at the hourglass and saw that a day and night had already passed. She got up and walked out of the dormitory. Just as she opened the door, she was shocked by the scene outside. What was going on? Big sister, you're finally out. It wasn't easy for us to stop them. These people are all here for you. Lei Hu and Gufeng, one on the left and one on the right, were like door gods, blocking the people outside. Because there were too many people, Gufeng had no choice but to use the light ball of heaven to barely stop the crowd from rushing in. Outside Yun Sheng's dormitory, there were many eager martial warriors. With a rough count, there were no less than a few hundred people. Yun Sheng suspected that more than half of the people from Wushuan Limitless School had rushed here. Among them, there were martial warriors from the inner and outer halls. These people had all come because of her reputation. It turned out that during the period when Yun Sheng was fusing with the dark magic elements, Shangguan Ta accidentally leaked out that because of Yun Sheng's acupuncture, he had broken through to the martial realm. When the news spread out, the entire Wushuan Limitless School went crazy. Their minds were filled with only one thought: acupuncture. After breaking through to the martial realm, Yun Sheng's popularity in Wushuan Limitless School reached its peak in just one day and night. Yun Sheng pondered for a moment. In the end, she could not resist the temptation of combat power. In addition to this, I also need to have absolute freedom. I don't need to participate in the morning, afternoon, and night training. Other than that, I have another condition. Apart from the remuneration and herbs, I also need a sect token. Combat power could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. This little girl was so black-hearted. The moment she opened her mouth, she asked for the sect medallion. That was the sect medallion of the Wu Profound Limitless School. She thought that it was a rotten cabbage on the street. Once the order was issued, the entire sect would have to listen to her orders. You're asking for too much. Combat power was unwilling. Deputy Curator Qi, it's just a sect medallion. I promise that I won't use it to commit crimes. But you can obtain hundreds of students who are one level above the martial realm. That's hundreds of people, not just a few. Yun Sheng blinked her eyes. Her small mouth seemed to be smeared with honey. The words that came out of her mouth made people like Combat Power, who were shrewd, unable to help but be moved. If all the martial artists could go one level above the martial realm, the Wu Profound Limitless Hall would definitely be able to win by surprise in the exploration of the divine artifact in a few years. Combat Power pondered for a moment. Finally, he clenched his teeth and agreed to Yun Sheng's request. After successfully obtaining a sect medallion, Yun Sheng was also in a good mood. At the same time, she also told Combat Power that not all martial artists in the martial realm could rely on the blood of the Blood Cloud Beast and acupuncture to break through the martial realm. According to each martial artist's martial realm and physique, she still needed to examine each martial artist's body before she could determine whether or not she could help them fuse. Yun Sheng also checked Combat Power's body while she was at it. It was a pity that with Combat Power's cultivation, he was already unable to break through the martial realm through ordinary beast blood fusion. With his strength at the peak of martial ancestor, Yun Sheng's 4 seasons colored glass needles were still unable to pierce his body. However, Yun Sheng still used acupuncture to treat some of Combat Power's old injuries that he had left behind on the battlefield in his early years. Combat Power saw that Yun Sheng's formations were truly exquisite and felt even more respect in his heart. This old man is already so old, but I don't want to break through the martial realm. Instead, your acupuncture technique is very strange. I would like to ask you for a favor. Combat Power hesitated for a moment, then suddenly opened his mouth to ask, Deputy Curator, you only need to instruct me. Since I've received money, I'll help you eliminate disasters. With such thoughts in mind, Yun Shang temporarily put away her hostility and followed combat power to the Marshal Saint General's residence. Thank you for Egg and 7 Treasures for your tips. It's a new month, and I have some monthly votes at home. Remember to spread them around. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.